final between. As we wait to get into Champ Select, here's a fun fact for all y'all. Right there, you just saw when Cloud9 won in spring of 2014. But did you know that Cloud9, despite the fact that they have won 3 LCS titles, have never been to MSI? Because MSI started in 2015, a year after. And when Cloud9 won it in the recent era, it was last year where COVID caused MSI to be canceled. So C9, having never been to MSI before, now has to win the next 2 games if they want to book their ticket this year.
And we'll see if they can do it. I want to see if they're going to be a little bit less cute in the draft. I think that they should go a little bit more standard. They are a strong team. I think they can match TL blow to blow as far as that goes. The Nocturne wrinkle there didn't really work last time around. The Karma top, I think, did not play out in the way that it expected. Looked like that was a hop out of the pick and ban, which is why the Spectator client would have gone weird there. So maybe one of the players having an error, just Alt-F4ing out of pick ban, something we will let you know on as soon as we do find out what's going on. But yeah, I think that given that we have seen a couple of the more kind of like clever comps from C9 not work out, the full-on early game, Seraphine mid, that style didn't work. Game 3, they go for the Nocturne Karma top, didn't work. I think it's time to just go towards team fighting, to believe in your ability to match these guys in lane, to believe in your ability to match these guys in 5v5, because I do think that in a number of these games, they're just making it harder than it really needs to be.
Yeah, you want to see more of what we got in game number 2. Yeah. The basic bread and butter, team fight, layer the ultis, make them 5v5, and win type of composition is kind of the vibe I'm getting.
Exactly, right? Or at the very least, just kind of like clear win conditions. I mean, when you go all early game, I just feel in this meta, it's very tough to close out. There's a lot of scaling picks that are very resilient. In game number 1, we saw that with Sion, right? It's like, great, I'm going to go Renekton, I'm going to dominate early. You got like 3 levels of having fun, and then Sion doesn't take damage anymore. There's just a lot of champions like that in the game that are tough to punish, tough to snowball on. Hecarim, sure, he's more of a late game champion than the Udyr, also from game 1, but he can power farm so well. He team fights well. He got his phase rush, so he can retreat from any sort of invades as well. So it's difficult to close out those games, and that's why I think you want to give yourselves, less narrow win conditions. They could have snowballed game 1 and 1. They could have got the Nocturne really fed and won game 3, but it was tough to make happen, and I just don't think that their compositions have been as easy to execute on as what we've been seeing from TL. So I'll be interested to see if they're going to change that up, or if they're feeling good about what they're drafting and just feel that it's more the play that is the problem.
Update for everybody watching. Apparently there is an issue with some glare on the screen. It happens sometimes when you've got an outdoor venue like this. They're making some physical changes around the setup to try to accommodate that, make sure players are good to go, and then we should be back into Champion Select rather quickly here soon. But again, going back to what we were talking about, Cloud9, we want to see them play something with an easy-to-execute win condition, something that's not limited by the fact that they're just going to get outscaled versus a team like Team Liquid. And honestly, those games are so fun to watch. If they can have these powerful scaling team fighters on both sides, have it come down to those big fights. Every game so far has gone the distance. That last game was the first time we didn't see 6 Drake emblems up in the top under the 2 teams.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that it's been so tightly contested between these 2 squads. So I fully understand not feeling that you need to change up the draft, but I do feel that TL has had better drafts overall throughout the series, and C9 has been executing pretty well, but it's been tougher for them to pull it out. And I mean, TL is just so in their wheelhouse when they have scaling advantage and team fight advantage. That is how this team wins. That is how they won all their championships, is drafting for 5v5, being incredibly strong laners, playing well around vision, closing out games effectively once they have advantages, but it's all centered around the fact that they're a really good team fighting team. And I think that Cloud9 has the chops to match them there. They just need to draft for it so it's on equal terms.
And hopefully we'll get to see a very exciting draft here once we are able to jump back into Champion Select. C9, remember, we're coming from the upper bracket going into this. The last time these 2 teams went head-to-head in a best-of-5 series, it was Cloud9 that honestly made it look pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was a very different series where it did feel, in that one, it was C9 that was kind of outthinking and getting big advantages in the draft. We heard Mark talk a lot on the desk about the back and forth of the Sylas, where Perkz was able to get Sylas in a position where he had incredible ultimates to steal, and then it kind of forced Jensen into this spot where he's like, all right, I got to take it away. And so he grabbed it the next game, but Cloud9 didn't give him the same tools to actually work with. So they kind of won both sides of that duel. And this time around, it does feel, again, a little bit of that coach's duel. When the teams are so evenly matched, the weapons you enter into the battle with become that much more important. I mean, draft is not everything in League of Legends. And in a lot of times, I'm critical of people who are so hyper-focused on draft because I feel like it can be exaggerated. It's like, game's over in draft. Well, you got to play it out. And in a lot of the situations, some of the best teams in the world have drafts that get criticized a lot, but they're just really good with them, so they win anyway. But when teams are this evenly matched, draft advantage can absolutely decide a series.
It's the smallest things that make the biggest difference in the closest context.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. And all these small things are adding up here. And the man on your screen right now, Armeo, let's talk about this because this is a player. Remember the conversations that have been had around Armeo in the past about how he had this reputation for performing really well in scrims. And then it got to the point where, remember, he was sharing jungle time with Acadian on TSM. There was the issue of, well, when he gets on stage, he doesn't perform as well. Concerns about that when they find out he has to be subbed in now in place of Santorin. And in yesterday's series against TSM and here again today playing against Cloud9, Armeo has seriously stepped up.
He is redefining how people think about it. People think about this guy as lackluster, as not able to rise to the challenge in the LCS, more of an academy style player. He has stepped in and seamlessly made the transition to take over for Santorin. That is
in finals week.
It's incredibly difficult to do, so much pressure, and he has been playing very, very well. This is a guy who has been very good at solo queue, as you said, was known to perform very well in scrims, but for whatever reason did not have the. And whether that's something where it's about the pieces around you, or you didn't know how to really fit into that team, or just the growth he has perhaps made on TLA, whatever it is, he is looking damn good here, playing alongside a really strong Team Liquid team that, despite how well the early stages of the season went for them, it had felt like opposite trajectories. It felt like TL started on the high, Cloud9 on the low, and they were heading in different directions. TL getting worse over the weeks and Cloud9 getting better and better, and culminating with them beating them 3-1 in playoffs and leading that to the state where people think, all right, it's Cloud9. It's their series to win. They're the favored ones. And even with that, you have a sub-jungler, and you are the ones leading the series. You are the ones dictating the pace.
Yeah, the reasons behind the scenes why he's able to step up like this, we can only speculate on those. But the results require no speculation whatsoever. He has been stepping up. He has been playing well, and Team Liquid clearly has their faith in him as the jungler, stealing away a couple of different Drakes already in the series. Yes, we had the one Baron where Blabber was able to swoop in and smite that away, but I would say losing a 50-50 to the MVP of the league is not the worst thing to have happen to you.
I mean, the fact that he's not even in the LCS, and he's going up against the MVP, who is known for absolutely running over LCS junglers, where's the jungle diff here? Like, it hasn't been.
It's not in the alt chat.
No, it hasn't been the story, right? Blabber has had his moments. Blabber has created advantage. Blabber has played very well too. That's not my point. The point is that it has been back and forth. Both guys getting their punches in, and not just an absolute stomp. And that is what is so impressive about the performance here from Armeo. And something he can be very proud of, regardless of what the rest of the series does bring us.
And I also want to praise Jensen on Team Liquid, because Jensen has this reputation. He's always been among the upper echelon of mid laners, but he's also had so many moments. Remember, there were so many finals that Cloud9 made it to back when Jensen was on Cloud9, and it didn't work out. Jensen has always been so close to his goals. It took him joining up with Team Liquid to get that first championship. And here now, in this best of 5, Bjergsen has left the building. Well, not completely. He's the coach.
He's on the stage.
Yeah, he's the coach. But anyway, Bjergsen is not in the conversation for who's the best mid laner anymore. Perks moves in, and if you're Jensen, you're there like, okay, now this is the next guy that you have to perform better than. And for Jensen to have these games where he's putting up 100% kill participation on a Victor, where he's finding team fight winning, game winning shockwaves on an Orianna, man, how incredible that must feel to him to know that he can step up and command these games in such a way.
I mean, he's always been on the cusp of kind of breaking through that barrier and being the number one guy. And he's had moments where people will acknowledge him as the number one guy, but it has always been fleeting. It's never
been unanimous.
Yeah, it's always been the bridesmaid, never the bride, right? Like he is the number two. And that is something he's been fighting against. He has been very vocal about wanting to leave a legacy, wanting to be remembered as one of the greats, right? And that requires taking down the greats. That requires taking down guys like Perks, who, has had such an incredible career, so much success. There's no comparing the accolades and the victories that they have had. Perks is winning out for sure. But Jensen has the ability to take that step to be able to best them in a best of 5 here on the biggest stage. They've had the whole split of building towards it, and he's been playing an incredible series. Perks, I think, has been stepping up at a lot of moments as well for his team, but Jensen is really looking good today.
If you want to rule the castle, you got to kill the king, and the king is in his sights so far. But the king himself, man, going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the day about Perks, that long list of accolades that entire teams wouldn't be able to match, let alone just the fact that he's one dude. You know that he's got the power to carry these types of games. You know that Perks is sort of in his comfort zone when his back's against the wall, when he's up against the ropes. And for him and the entirety of Cloud9, that comfort zone needs to step up right now. We need to see these guys be totally in tune with one another and with the game state if they want to bring this one back and turn this one into a victory.
Absolutely. I mean, he was known for being unshakable, with G2, losers bracket runs, being able to pull off reverse sweeps, being able to be calm under pressure. And we'll see if Cloud9 can channel some of that energy here today. They're going to need to win the next two against TL, who has looked very strong across this series.
And C9 keeps starting off with the same opening punch every time, and Team Liquid still don't have their guard up for it. Every time, Cloud9's just coming in there with that high left hook, and they get the first blood in the top lane every single game.
I mean, it's tough. They're really setting it up well. And as a top laner, that is one area that I could criticize Armeo a little bit. You do not have enough wards to cover all angles. You do not have the ability at times to reset the wave by yourself. That is where Armeo needs to be up there and actually covering Alphari. And that is one legitimate area of criticism I do have, that at a certain point, if you know they're going to go for these ganks every single time and you see Fudge setting up a wave that is going to be frozen or trying to hold the wave off his turret, and you're like, all right, well, he's got to reset it. You got to get your butt up there as a jungler and help him push in the wave. Or if Laver shows up, be ready for the 2v2.
Yeah, this is what happens in all our games. You tell me, hey, man, he's going to freeze the wave. I said, but there's a crab. And then you end up in the same spot that Alphari's been ending up in. You get first blooded.
I'd rather die than let the wave be frozen, so here we are.
Bury me with my honor. Well, Team Liquid, man, they would love to bury Cloud9 here in this fourth game, walk away with a win, get their 5th LCS title, get that trip to MSI, and go back to the glory days when they had, I mean, think back on Team Liquid, 4 back-to-back wins. Nobody else has ever done that. Yes, TSM has the most LCS trophies of any team, but TSM never had a streak that long.
Yeah, and Team Liquid also had an incredible MSI run. Taking down IG, making it
reigning world champs at the time, by the way.
Exactly. And that was something that was so impressive. And it was actually, against Perks that they were bested in the finals.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see a little bit of that rehashing itself here today. Cloud9 as well. They're the team that everyone always pointed to for the NA team that was going to do well at Worlds, the NA team that was going to deliver internationally, because they were always a team that was credited for having more creativity and adaptability when it came to international play. Yep. That was often the criticism of teams like TL or TSM. So looking over, we'll see if Cloud9 is going to be able to utilize some of that adaptability, some creative drafts to get themselves into a winning position here.
And I think that goes back to what you were talking about when we saw the drafts for the first game, because you were talking about how a lot of people don't like the all early game, like the investment in the aggro like Cloud9 like to play around with. But that seems to be the secret when you're going into this international competition, because playing that other side, playing just scale for late, doesn't work when you're up against these other teams and these other players of this incredibly high caliber. So Cloud9's active, aggressive play style causes people to have that faith in them.
Absolutely. And there's that push and pull, right? You want to be able to have aggressive options. You want to be able to have ways to push the pace of the game, but you also don't want to over-index there in such a way that if your opponents just hang around, then they win, right?
Yep.
And that's the dichotomy that you're always kind of working against in draft. And that's why it's so difficult to actually draft at a super high level for a lot of these teams. You know, it can seem pretty easy in retrospect that you should have picked this or you should have picked that.
Right.
But
Hindsight's
in the moment, you know, you're thinking about more than just individual champions or individual matchups. You're thinking about the scaling. You're thinking about how you'll actually play out team fights, how the champions are going to work as a cohesive unit, how you're going to bring it all together, you know, without getting run over in the early game if you're looking for a late game comp, and vice versa if you're looking for an early game comp. So it is one of those things that there's a lot of pieces that you're really trying to balance, and that's why some of these top teams can consistently get an edge in draft.
And I think that's what makes it so fun to watch the draft. That's why people get so invested in the draft.
Yeah.
There is no objectively correct answer. If there was, the draft would be boring as sin because it's just okay, same thing every single time. You got to do that. You got to do this. But there's enough variation. There's enough difference between what you're talking about making sure you're invested enough into playmaking, but not so invested that you lose out on scaling. It just makes it more exciting to watch, especially with two teams like these that, as today has shown, are incredibly evenly matched.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things you also got to remember that when criticizing teams and coaches for draft, not all teams are equal in what the ability they have as far as what champions they can play.
Yeah.
Right? You know, some tools are just more flexible than others, right? That's one of the reasons that despite Impact being such a strong piece for Team Liquid for so long, including showing up internationally, that they made a change towards Alphari because they wanted to be able to have additional flexibility. We haven't seen them in this series go towards something that would have been outside of the wheelhouse that Impact is, but they have that threat. And that's something that you also have to consider in draft. When you have a player who could bring out the counter pick, it's always in the back of your head. Well, I can't go Gnar here because he's going to go Aurelia, and I'm going to get run over. Even if he has no intention of doing it, having seen a player bring out these picks can be really, really something that gets into your head. And that's why mixing up your pick bands throughout the regular season can pay off hugely in playoffs.
It's the same thing out of game that it is in game. Sometimes it's not so much a thing itself, it is the threat of that thing. It's why blowing a flash on a champion can matter so much, because now you know there is no flash engage, right? There is no flash ultimate that could happen. Even if the guy was never going to flash engage, even if that's a suicide mission, doesn't matter because he can't now.
Exactly.
And that's the difference.
And I mean, we saw Jensen bring out Annie against Lucian in their series against TSM. You know, we have seen Perkz play a lot of marksman, not here today. You don't know, is that something that is in the back of your mind? Is that a matchup you're looking to avoid? Is that limiting some of the options that Cloud9 are comfortable moving forward with? Of course, they are still working away at fixing the glare issues here. Hopefully, we are going to be shortly back into game, continue what has been an incredible series between these two teams.
And you bringing up the Annie and bringing up pocket picks and talking about all this, that raises another interesting question, I think, because teams and players and orgs, coaches, everybody, they love to not give away more information than they have to, right?
Yeah.
Play it close to the vest, keep it secret. When you're down to match point now in the finals, forget the secrets. That don't matter no more. So what I'm curious about, does Cloud9, does our innovative, aggressive team have some secret ace up their sleeve that nobody's expecting that they can now break out at the 11th hour?
And even if they've got that, can they make it work? Because TL is so damn solid. TL is more predictable. TL is more of that team fight scaling style of team, but they're so good at it that it doesn't really matter most of the time. This is why they won NA time and time again, because they are so rock solid at the play style that they are really focusing on. And GP, the ban there on the GP as well as the Orianna, those are some adaptations. Lilia is up, but Nidalee was banned away, so they're not willing to give over a Renekton and Nidalee combo. But Cloud9 do not have to go towards it. If you go Hecarim, you are potentially giving over the Kai'Sa Rell as that really strong duo over on the TL side. I think at the very least, you're giving over Udyr plus Rell. That would be the 1-2 I'm expecting here from TL. And then it just becomes perhaps a run back a little bit of what we saw in one of the earlier games where Cloud9 then wants to take away the Kai'Sa. TL then moves towards the things like the Xayah, and you see kind of the natural progression of the draft from there. Unless TL wants to kind of take a left turn here and go a different route.
Well, we got the Rell already picked up here. I think it was only that first game that we got to see him on the same team, wasn't it?
Udyr as well?
Yep. I hope y'all are a fan of the taste of Hecarim Udyr because it is the flavor of the day here in the finals.
Yeah.
These two champions just coming out on top as the others get banned away.
It's Kai'Sa now. I think for sure this is going to get locked in, and then Alistar makes sense. That's the answer. The draft has progressed forward in a pretty understandable way.
Yeah.
The question here comes, does TL have a priority mid laner, or do they try to prioritize their bot laner, the Xayah that I mentioned? This is pretty much 6 for 6 on expected picks.
Your brain's too big, bro.
And there's some patterns definitely here.
Don't worry about that. Your brain's just too big. There's too many electrical synapses and stuff.
That's why there's no more hair. No room. The brain.
Your brain absorbed it through the inside of your skull.
No, push it all out.
That's
Grows
heavy
to a certain
metal, man.
point.
I respect that. I respect that. All right. Let's see how the bans shake out now because we have mirrored picks on both sides. It's bot lanes and junglers only. The flexibility here is non-existent. So that means solo laners must be targeted now in the second half of these bans. Renekton has been removed. Malphite has been removed.
I think Gnar gets banned out next by Cloud9 potentially here. Just looking towards some of the picks that Alfari would go to, that could be problematic. Assuming it's going to be a blind pick here for Fudge, my guess is that it will be last pick for Alfari, but we'll see. Do they want to go here for Jensen or not? If they ban out the Gnar, I'm expecting just a Victor coming through from Jensen, and then it's going to be potentially the answer from there. Of course, they could go towards a blind pick tank, like a Scion or something, if they wanted, and then try to protect, but the Victor makes sense. Now, I feel like with Gnar available, you go Gnar here for Fudge, and you kind of just have to be concerned about the Aurelia, so maybe you go Scion instead and really try to play full on front to back. And you could just go like Scion Azir, and then you're set up fully for 5v5, and you're really ready to go as far as what I was talking about, moving away from some of the more clever picks towards what is just kind of rock solid team fight 5v5. Zoe, a different option here, does give them a little bit more playmaking, and that's what they're indexing towards. If you go Scion Azir, you are locking in more scaling, more powerful, straight up front to back team fighting, but this does give you the additional playmaking. You land a bubble, that can be a game changer. You land that Gragas engage, that can change the game as well. Of course, going this route, you put yourself in what can be a more difficult matchup against the Gnar. That's why I thought Gnar was going to get banned out. I'm going to be honest. I feel like that could have been a really powerful ban here, but potentially with the Alistar up, with the Gragas coming through, they were worried about giving some of those over in addition to the Hecarim ultimate. So a little bit different look than what I expected there, but all in all, it's pretty standard stuff here, and it feels like both teams are ready for 5v5, but again, the barrier of execution is higher for Cloud9. They have additional playmaking tools, maybe higher potential if everything goes right. You hit that sleep, you hit that perfect Gragas ulti, maybe you just win the fight straight up.
Yeah.
But if that does not happen, I again favor TL's comp.
Because with extra playmaking, often comes extra punishment as well.
Yeah.
A bad cask can really screw up an otherwise good engage. If Zoe's not ever able to connect on the skill shots and you can navigate around those and then hard engage afterwards, Zoe doesn't feel nearly as good, right? So they have to be playing this well. I like the fact that they opted for such a thing because it means they have confidence in themselves to win in a skill-based matchup.
Absolutely, and their engage is going to be explosive, something that we'll have to see TL really watch out for, both as the Xayah and as the Victor. If there's a body slam flash and you don't react with the Xayah ulti in time, you can die 100-0 in the CC for sure. With an Alistar coming in to follow that up, Victor as well, you can get caught out, knocked out of position, knocked down as well. The Hecarim is going to be there to follow up. They have some very powerful engage. They have balanced that out a little bit more as far as the scaling does go here. They have the dive. And this really, I think, is pretty indicative of the styles that these teams like to play, right? It's go late game, go 5v5, but with a little splash of style of the team.
Yeah.
Cloud9 going a little bit more in, going a little bit more aggressive. TL saying, now we'd rather have a more solid front line. We're going to play it slow, and we're going to punish you by absorbing those engages very effectively.
Okay, so let's take a look, take stock of all the resources here at the start. It is heal for both of our AD carries, no cleanse being required this game. Both supports also running the ignite without an exhaust being necessary. Summoner Spellbook for perks in the mid lane, while Jensen is running a phase rush, so we'll still see all 4 teleports being on solo laners. And in the jungle, it's phase rush, but perks getting jumped on here at level 1. Gonna lose some HP, but doesn't have to use any summoner spells.
But it actually really sucks. Aggressive. All 3 of your corrupting potion charges. So now we're going to have to see a change in strategy here for the laning phase. I feel like you're going for a hard shove. You're trying to reset the wave instantly, dump all your mana, get back to base, refill that corrupting potion as soon as it is possible. So as Jensen, you want to fight for the wave. You want to auto attack nonstop. Lock this guy down in this lane where all of a sudden the missing sustain becomes an issue.
All right, keep your eyes on Perks and how he handles this lane here early on, because losing all that HP, man, that feels so bad right before the minions spawn. Tactical and Core JJ with control over the bottom lane here right now. Kai'Sa Alistar versus the Xayah with Rel, breaking up the Kai'Sa Rel domination, but man, the Xayah back on Tactical. Remember when he played this previously? It was his performance in the final team fight that won them the game.
So Core JJ is dismounted. If they hit 2, you can do a W flash or you remount and flip in Sven before he hits 2. So Cloud9 needs to back it up. This is actually playing it pretty dangerously here. They are very close to 2. They will back up in time potentially, but anytime he's dismounted, that is actually a more explosive engage when you're looking for a single target engage, because it's nearly impossible to actually react to the W for the remount, instant flash auto. That goes through pretty much 100% of the time. You're over the shoulder, you're maybe dead.
So difficult to respond to that, but fortunately for Cloud9, the distance is not there. They do not spike soon enough on the side of TL, and that means the threat is gone. Back here in the mid lane, Perks has picked up a free heal there from the balloons on the minions.
That's nice.
Blabber's doing some of that double clear there in the jungle. Very powerful stuff for champions that have the AoE to get it done, and he'll just keep on trying to accelerate this forward.
It's actually a really big deal, because Jensen basically was using his mana to battle the health of his opponent. But because he picked up a free heal, all of a sudden you're losing that war.
Nice CC combo here on the bottom side, but Core JJ getting headbutted and pulverized afterwards. Still ends up being a very decisive win here in that trade for TL bottom lane.
Absolutely. Does land the full CC combo there. Really nicely done. If you can get the initial engage with the root follow-up, the ignite comes across. Sven is just locked down for so much of that fight that he can't really return fire, and then by the time he is getting that damage out, you're hitting an Aftershock Rel, who just doesn't really care about what you're trying to get done.
No, not at all. The game has found itself paused. We'll give you guys an update on whenever, wherever, however that's shaken out and what's going down with that. But the early game hasn't had a whole lot of surprises for us just yet. The biggest thing was just Perks being under that extra pressure at the beginning of the game, down to 200 HP. But you already pointed it out, man. Summoner Spell Heal, you couldn't ask for a better balloon.
Yeah, really. It's that is making up for most of the sustain that he lost. Because I think in the end, he actually used 2 Corrupting Potion charges, which is 240 health or something. I want to say it's 120 per charge.
I'm a jungler. I never buy that thing. I don't know.
I mean, I could be misremembering, but it's around there, 240, 200, something like that. So the heal is going to make up for a lot of that and really kind of eliminate that as an issue. And because Jensen actually went for, refillable plus Dark Seal as his start, doesn't have any extra mana on that starting item. So if you get locked into the lane in this out of mana position, because Perks picked up his heal, because he has the additional sustain, things can get a little bit more tricky for you.
That trophy, man. That is one shiny trophy.
It's looking nice.
I love the fact that we get to have the players playing in front of it too. It's just, I mean, I can tell you as a commentator, just the entire energy around this whole finals weekend feels so much better because we're out of our houses, because we're not in play from home. Hey, cool, my bed's right there next to me, so after the show is done, I'm going to go to sleep. There's none of this. It feels so real, and it feels so visceral, and it feels so much bigger and grander to be able to play in an environment like that.
And you heard all the players talking about this in all of the feature pieces and all of the videos. This is a global phenomenon. This is something that everyone is feeling and can relate to as just human beings in the same shared experience here. So I think it's really cool that that has kind of been leaned into and not shied away from the fact that the players were missing, and it wasn't feeling the same to watch them from home. It wasn't feeling the same, for Blabber to be playing from home instead of on a stage. And, this is the first step back to where we want to get. We want to be in a stadium filled by all of the fans, everyone watching at home, and really, feeling the energy. And that is something that I know the production team loves, the casters love, the players love. We all live for it. We live to be part of this community and part of that energy that you really feel at these big events. And I think, it's cool to see the players, opening up and speaking about how much that means to them.
Update for everybody. It appears Perks is experiencing some frame rate problems. League Ops are currently investigating this, trying to get things back online, ASAP for y'all. And so hopefully we can jump back into the game here rather swiftly. 3 games without a hitch. Running into a couple of pauses here in game number 4, but ain't no big deal.
Yeah, we'll keep it rolling. Hopefully we can be moving forward here again pretty quickly. Going to be in for an exciting conclusion here between these two teams. As you said, nothing too crazy happening before the pause comes through.
Right, still early on.
We didn't get to really touch on, though, was the fact that it's actually Phase Rush Gragas, so a bit of a different look there. It is not Grasp, which is more common. You usually see Grasp or Comet. Those are the two that you most often see. Comet, similar to kind of the Malphite, in some of these range matchups, people will go, you just Q poke, that lands the slow, the Comet hits, you try to have a little bit more laning pressure. This is going to be interesting because it's going to allow you to go in for trades against the Gnar, even body slamming offensively, proccing the phase rush, and then being able to retreat out from that. So again, it's indexing towards playmaking, which I think is something that makes sense alongside that Cloud9 playstyle.
Yeah. And talking about the phase rush and how it works with the trading pattern, I like it a lot into something like a Gnar where he's going to get a bunch of extra damage on you as you try to disengage the trade, because all you have to do, as soon as you hit him with one barrel, you just body slam, bonk him over the head with your empowered W, boom, phase rush is done. That's 3 hits, run away. There's no way that he can slow you down with the boomerang into the constant autos afterwards like he would without it, which feels a lot better than just getting thwapped in the head by a boomerang 6 or 7 times to try to take your exit.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the melee matchups really can struggle against Gnar for that very reason. It's not about the initial trade. It's about when you're trying to back off from the trade and you procs hyper and he's moving faster and you're slowed down by the boomerang. Can get pretty terrible. But we'll see how that matchup does look going forward. Again, Jensen on the Victor here has been playing really well on the control mages. Looked monstrous in the earlier Victor game here today.
And the big question I have now, are we going to see another Cloud9 first blood in the top lane? I'm not going to challenge you to predict the first blood because I already owe you a steak dinner from last time.
True.
I have learned my lesson. From that one. So I'm just posing this question to the universe in general. Will we see 4 games in a row of C9 first blood top lane because of jungle investment, or has Team Liquid wised up to their tricks?
I say no, and I say no because I feel like it's such an obvious thing for the coaching staff to identify and talk about.
Yeah.
That I would hope after 3 games of that happening, that pattern has developed enough that you're like, all right, Alfari, Armeo, you guys got to talk. You guys got to be on the same page. When Alfari is at risk, he will know when he is at risk. He will know when he is in a dangerous lane state. And Armeo, get up there and help him push in the wave. Help him reset. And I give them the credit that I think they will be able to fix that.
Well, we'll find out here once we get back into the game. Hopefully not too much longer here now. Down in the bottom lane, too, with an Alistar and a Rel, both of them running an Aftershock. I'm going to be keeping my eye on these two as the game moves forward to make those kinds of plays, because Vulcan and Core JJ, we praise Core JJ all the time because he just always finds the moment. He finds the turn, he finds the engage, whatever. Vulcan has also been a huge playmaker and a massive part of the team fights for Cloud9 and a lot of their stuff. And remember, there was a lot of people in the community that said Vulcan got robbed when it came to voting for the All-Pro for team number 1.
Yeah.
Core JJ taking the spot. A lot of people were like, but I voted for Vulcan, though. It's so much contention between who everyone thinks is the top support, and it's a lot of fun to see them go head to head, especially when they're both such big playmakers.
Absolutely. When you are on these engaged supports, especially at the LCS level, they're not soaking as much experience in lane. They're moving, they're getting vision, which means you are weaker, you are lower level, you are more squishy, and makes it even more important that when you go, it better be good.
Yeah.
That is your entire job.
You get 1 green light.
Exactly. As these style of champions, when you're playing the Alistar, when you're playing the Rel, you have got to have incredible game knowledge and understanding of the situations, be able to instantly identify when it is a good time to engage and have no hesitation. Because if you cannot do that, if you cannot quickly identify, immediately go, the situations change too fast at this level. You will not be given another chance in many cases if you miss your opportunity. and you've got to know that you can pull it off. And that's something that has always impressed me about these top level supports, is watching them play Engage champions. Sure, you can play well on Karma. Sure, you can play well on Janna, but you just don't see it in the same way.
It just ain't the same. Engage supports are my favorite ones to watch too. We're back into the game. 4 minutes in, we have rejoined the players. We are live and we are ready to go. Let's see where they're going to focus now. Junglers are on opposite ends of the map. You can see our Mayo. He's shadowing up here around this top side. This is where things have gone bad. And now it looks like there won't really be anything happening too much elsewhere. Blabber is doing a good job keeping up with the Udyr here. He's not on the Nocturne. Hecarim does farm faster than Nocturne does, so he'll stay up easily.
Absolutely will. We can see both mid laners did get to go back to base, but given that Perkz didn't have to TP, that tells me he got the push. He created the mana advantage. He gets to shove it in, save that teleport, which can mean you have got to be more careful in those side lanes. If you hard commit to some sort of an engage as the Rel, for example, who wants to play aggressive, and you get TP'd on by the Zoe, that can absolutely get turned around here. You can see some different styles as the early tier is pretty standard for control mages, just being able to get the mana to be able to keep up on the wave clear.
Man, and you know, credit to Perkz, summoner spell heal or not, the man played the lane in a way where he started this lane off at level 1 with 200 HP, and now he's the one with prio, he's the one with even farm. There's a reason that he's one of the most accomplished players that there is, right? Like,
absolutely.
He knows how to handle any situation you're going to throw at him. And we might be seeing the earliest Drake of the series so far here. Right as it spawns, it's Team Liquid going after it.
We'll see if there's going to be a contest, because it's now spotted. They suss it out. I mean, you don't drop a pink ward over the wall unless you are thinking about doing something about it. I think, unfortunately, for C9, they are too little too late.
Yes, sir.
Are Mayo going to be able to grab that one for him? And the Udyr really has been dictating the pace in all of these games. He's been the one grabbing the dragon. It's not really a surprise because he clears so fast. He souls it up so well. Walking on the roam here, trying to threaten Jensen, but won't mean too much. And
yeah. Core JJ's right there, too, so they can't try to overcommit, go for an Alistar.
Am I a liar?
Something. Oh, no. Not again. He waits for it, but he's not quite fast enough to get behind him for the devastating charge. The Ghost wasn't used that time.
But look again at the wave state. Now it's stuck in this awkward spot. Because our Mayo went bot, they knew he could not be top. He takes the dragon. Blabber going back in here for the punish. Ghost is available. You called it out.
Let's do it again. Alfari with the ward over the wall. But here comes Blabber. Alfari's knocked backwards. The cast knocks him to the side. Not ideal placement, but good enough. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put Alfari on the floor every single game.
Rack him up. It's top diff in a different way, man. You look back to Lock-in, you would be thinking, yeah, of course there's top diff every game. Of course one of them bad every game.
Yeah, man, what are you talking about?
Exactly, but it has been the other way. TP was still available for Alfari, critically for him, so not an absolute disaster, but still not the start you were looking for. Goes through the early call, likely working towards Merc Treads with that Null Magic Mantle. That is going to help him out here. And it is AP Gragas. I believe I saw the last chapter there. Let's watch this one more time. I think he was aware it could be happening because, I mean, it's been happening over and over. He knows the Ghost wasn't actually used. Seeing that the ward goes down and it was immediately turned off either means there's a pink there or it's being swept, right? So knowing that, he could suss out that there was someone around and does pull back.
And Jensen just dropping the Chaos Storm here, trying to get as much push with that as he can. Almost out of mana. So we'll probably see him attempt to base here some point soon. Perkz will continue clearing out the wave, trying to throw them Paddle Stars into the caster minion lines. Paddle plus a couple auto attacks takes him down. Nice movement there from Jensen, sidestepping away from that point-blank range bubble.
That has been something he has been so good at his entire career. These little sidesteps, these little jukes back and forth. You know, back when I was still making Lane Kingdom, that piece of content, it was so interesting to watch him play and watch pro view for some of these players in the past, where they're just so tough to hit skill shots with because they're constantly dodging back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It makes it incredibly difficult to place that skill shot and actually land it.
And especially when you compare it to the expectation of Zoe versus someone, I feel like all the time when you see a good Zoe in solo queue, that's one of the things they can do, right? They jump forward, they get the point-blank bubble, and they make the play off of that. So Jensen just showing like the difference between a top-tier solo queue player and a top-tier professional player, knowing how to dodge away from those tricky situations.
I mean, it could be an absolute difference maker. If you get caught there, you're low on mana, you get hit with the sleep, you're chunked low. The lane can be into a pretty awkward spot here. Perkz just looking to shove, though. Blabber is over on the Herald, and the fact that Hecarim is going to be able to get this is really nice for them. So going to be able to secure that. They had the push on the top side. There was no flash on Alfari, so he had to play safe. Jensen had been getting pushed in by Perkz, and as a result, they claimed their prize up on the top side. Feels like one of the first games where the neutrals are being traded back and forth.
I was about to say the same thing. Our brains, they're on the same wavelength, man. Yeah.
Synergy.
The Dragon for Team Liquid, but the Herald for Cloud9. And with that first blood, they have the gold lead. The Herald, if dropped properly, is going to build that up even more. And that puts Cloud9 in a good spot to then contest and stop Team Liquid from stacking more Drakes.
Yep. Something else I want to touch on a little bit, because it is AP Gragas, probably going to be Everfrost would be my assumption. People really do just love that item, probably on Zoe as well.
So powerful.
Being able to just jump forward with the ulti and lock someone down. This means they have less of a front line, right? So it is more explosive again on the engage. It's more indexing towards that playmaking. But again, the barrier of execution is high. And especially as AP Gragas, we talked about, if the cast doesn't land as a tank Gragas, your team fight is much less effective. If you body slam and flash in there as the AP Gragas, and they flash that, or you whiff, woof, that's
you're dead, man.
Yeah, it ain't it.
You are done for. All right. Let's see. Getting close to those big ultis, those big hits in the team fights that could really change things around. We've still got the supports both at level 5. I believe my eyesight is terrible and the screen's a little far away. So
they're 6.
Okay, Core JJ is 6.
Yep.
I was looking at the thing on the corner. My bad. And so that means that Vulcan now level 6 as well. We've got everything online.
This is dangerous for Blabber.
Yeah, this is a risky business here. But he does successfully invade and force the blue buff onto the enemy jungler. Even if you can't steal it away, making him smite it, not allowing it to be given over to the victor, that's still a win.
Yep, and I actually like that a lot more than them going hard for it and trying to ult in and steal it and take a fight, where I think they would have been flanked. They're going to be able to grab the dragon, and now you just want to disengage, but Core JJ says no!
Core JJ is not going to let him! Blabber's trying to run away. Remember, the onslaught of shadows can get him over the wall. He's out. He's fine. And the Drakes are now all tied up.
Yeah, and that's actually really good here for Cloud9. They force out the smite. So if Armeo didn't have a second smite charge, he wouldn't have even been able to contest whatsoever. So they know one of the charges is down. They do take that. That is flashed off Core JJ. And they were able to disengage that very effectively. Yes, it is the onslaught of shadows, but that's a pretty low cooldown. The ghost, a pretty low cooldown in comparison. So now the bot lane here for Cloud9 is going to be feeling a lot more safe for these next couple of minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing that the opportunity for Core JJ to engage is greatly reduced.
And they're also going to feel great knowing that, hey, you don't have to worry about some dragon stacking this game. Neither team does. We've got 1-to-1 so far on those. Because of the fact that the map is not on fire, I believe that we will see the Mountain Soul this time around.
Sir.
I wasn't paying attention when it switched
Top
off.
left.
Okay. Oh, I know how to use
It's
my
your first. It's your first time casting League of Legends.
Yeah. I've never casted League of Legends.
Don't worry.
I don't know where to look at. For
First time.
I'm
It's
just,
okay.
I'm just trying to show how you use deductive reasoning to figure out where things are. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
there isn't any big mountain, man, so I'm not sure.
Yes, of course. The environment hasn't burned down. Anyway, back up to what Team Liquid's trying to do. They want to try to make another play up here. They've got the control ward in the river, so Armeo knows that Fudge doesn't have that warded out, but the problem is, man, Fudge is in no rush. He doesn't care about stepping up any further. He's just going to maintain safe distance. He body slams back in, finds a bit of a quick trade against Alfari, and he's no worse for wear.
Yep, didn't get the third hit there, so couldn't proc phase rush as his barrel was on cooldown. That is the trifecta you were talking about. But Vulcan on the roam here, clearing out vision. Such a critical part of playing around mid lane is actually this vision control, even donating over the ward kill to Perkz. 30 gold in his pocket there.
Hey, why not? It's about 1.5 melee minions worth their gold, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely worth doing. Every little bit can count, and you can see Perkz now with the spellbook, double combat summoners at this point. So Jensen definitely does not want to take a straight up fight there. Heal plus ignite, going to be difficult to deal with.
Plus Randuin's Omen to slow him down. That makes those skill shots even easier to hit. So you always got to respect what the Zoe picked up from the balloons.
Is in Mega shortly.
Okay, Shelly's here. Looks like it's just going to be another one of those 2-plate Rift Herald charges. There it is. Immediately killed right after. And that means Cloud9 ties up the gold, man. It is dead even for the fourth game.
I gotta say, these teams are good about actually handling these heralds. No one has really given these big heralds where they get a ton, like a full tower or multiple towers. They have just been so good at anticipating where that is coming, rotating the members over to answer, and always having 2 or 3 there when the herald is going to be dropped to make sure, hey, you can have the plates, but you're getting nothing else.
The most successful herald that we saw was the one at the top lane tier 1 turret a couple of games ago where they knocked down the first 2 plates. Herald gets the next 2, but it's still not a full kill like you already pointed out. So lots of good control over those objectives here. Cloud9 invading the enemy jungle now as a 4-man squad. They've got Fudge up there in the top lane, but he can even teleport down here if need be. They move in, they set down some vision, they steal the Gromp, and now they're right back out.
And good job there by TL, knowing that this could be happening. Phase Rush going to have to be procced here. Everfrost up. Look at the Fat Man go.
Yeah, nice even trade there between them. Everfrost active, used by Fudge just to lock Alfari down a little bit more, make sure he can't chase for an extra auto attack or 2. Blabber will have control over this topside river, though, so he can grab the Scuttle Crab pretty easily. And now, here goes Fudge, tossing out the ulti there, but a fast flash from Alfari gets him away. Everfrost, after the fact, roots him up, but it's not enough.
Fudge is actually playing this lane out quite well. Alfari, though, is creating a CS advantage with the pressure from Fudge plus Blabber, has been forcing out some of these summoners. You can tell how much of a importance they're putting on playmaking, right? Triple Lucidity boots on the top side of the map. They are looking to make plays. They want the lower CDR. They want the cooldown reduction as well for their summoners so they can get in there, create these opportunities for them to fight.
And it's kind of like just a bit of a different story compared to what we saw in the previous game where it was all Merc Treads rush. Hey, this time around, we don't need that. Focus on the offensive version instead. Because these Ionian cooldown boots, it's been pretty interesting to see just how prevalent they have become among everyone, particularly junglers. People just love the rush on these items to make these plays. Perks finds 1 paddle star over the wall, but I mean, Armeo's got turtle stance. He'll be able to lifesteal back up. He's not really worried about much of anything with that poke.
We will have to track, though, if they can be punished for Lucidity boots, because while it's not TF, it's not the point and click that they actually stacked all their Merc Treads against last time, there's still a lot of CC. When you think about the Blade Caller route, all the CC coming through from Rel, Gravity Field can be layered over top of those. If you land anything, you've still got the Bear Slap, you've still got all the Mega Gnar CC. So there is a high amount, and that really just tells me that they feel they have got to be the initiators. They have got to have those cooldowns ready and be able to be in the face of their opponents to make things happen. And I tend to agree with the composition that they've drafted for themselves.
Third Drake has spawned, and as long as he's alive, Cloud9 are going after him here. Shouldn't be much of a contest. C9 do have control over the whole bottom side of the map. You can see Sven's got the wave at the turret, taking that one down. Vulcan clearing out some of the vision from the enemy jungle, and Blabber is left alone to take care of this Drake, and he'll pick that one up. So, but the response from Team Liquid on the other side, immediately they're grabbing the Rift Herald.
Very evenly matched across the 2 teams. You can see that Jensen, though, is unmatched right up on that top side, so they're going to be pushing heavily here. Cloud9 is pushing mid and bot, but it will be TL getting the additional farm right now as they have members in all 3 lanes. So we'll see if Cloud9 want to try to force the issue, knowing Jensen is not there and has no TP.
Well, Team Liquid can clear that wave out effectively enough. Armeo just runs up, knowing even if he gets Bubble plus Paddle Star, he can't die from it. He's tanky enough to not worry about that. So then Zoe's not able to send everyone else away. And there you go. Turret destroyed up there. And now we've got this wave pushed up into the tier 2 in bottom lane. 1 turret to 1 turret, still 1,000 gold separating us here. 3 minutes away from Baron spawning, 4 minutes away from the next Drake being alive. This is where you start to see Team Liquid become concerned with contesting those, especially because if we're going for these big team fight compositions, stacking up those Mountain Drakes, getting that Mountain Soul could be a huge difference maker.
It is also interesting to see Cloud9 take a step back as far as how aggressive they are playing in these early stages. They will have to be very explosive as far as the team fights do go, but perhaps feeling that they were a little bit over-aggressive in some of the previous games, not getting enough for what they were risking. And this is match point, so the pressure is on.
You can't risk anymore. There's no more risk possibility. You can't just say, okay, go for the big move here. If it doesn't work out, whatever, we'll clean it up in the next one. Hey, it's the next one. So for Team Liquid, you've got a little breathing room still, right? It can go to Game 5. We can still get them silver scrapes. But Cloud9, man, it's do or die here. As Armeo will run over a ward, but not really too worried about that. He'll sweep it. He'll run back. Drops down the Rift Herald. 18 minutes into the game, so no plates to be found. Looks like we're only going to get the one charge into just about nothing afterwards. And yeah, there it is. Vulcan and Perks ought to be able to take care of that one. Haven't quite killed it yet. Somebody hit the eyeball. Come on. There we go. All right. Rift Herald's out of the picture. Cloud9 maintain their tier 1 turret. Pushing up now once again. Look at that mid lane tier 1 for Team Liquid. It's even more injured, though.
It is. And Sven was actually up to the top side, getting some chip damage on the outer top lane tower during this time. So it is down pretty low itself. And with Jensen now not in the area, they could push this in and potentially kill that off. We'll see if TL want to try to rush up here and answer, because a lot of Cloud9 members are moving up towards that top side. There is no mid lane wave for TL right now, so it looks, because of the faster move towards that top side, members are in the area. Sven may want to finish this off, but they've spotted Udyr now, and Cloud9 did start going back towards mid lane, so this does get a little bit dicey.
Okay, Armeo's not going to head towards top side. Vulcan and Blabber are right there, ready to protect Sven if need be. So second turret goes over now to Cloud9. They will go up to about a 2,000 gold lead thanks to that one. 2 minutes until Drake spawns. Mid lane tier 1 for Team Liquid, just still barely hanging on. You know C9 would love to knock that thing down, complete that outer ring, make it safer to move into enemy territory and place down some vision, but Team Liquid are not just going to allow that to happen. Jensen up here on the top side on this Victor. Remember, it was a Victor performance earlier where he had 100% KP, where he was doing some of that hard carrying, heavy lifting. 0-0 and 0 right now. But man, I love just looking at the farm of pro players too, because you look at Jensen, you say, 211 at 19 minutes, that's really good. And then you're like, okay, he's down 3 waves.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
It is really insane. And the mid laners are so good about, it's not only not missing any CS, but also getting in and stealing away the Raptors constantly, right? And that is a big part of how they get to these really enormous CS numbers. 1 minute until the Mountain Dragon. Feels like both teams are content to poke and prod, look for opportunities, but don't want to commit to anything without feeling like it's a sure thing. Right. And given that, it's going to be about the setup here for this Dragon. The Everfrost is done for Perks. For a second, I was thinking, okay, he's going Ludens because he actually got the early Blasting Wand alongside his Lost Chapter, but decided to think better of that. It's just going to be built into a Void Staff, so just one of the early AP for a little bit more kill threat in lane. You can see CDR being stacked by Fudge. Likely going to be a Zhonya second, I would assume. A lot of times when you are going towards that AP Gragas, you want to be able to go in, use the full burst combo, and then they try to turn on you into the Zhonyas.
And Void Staff's second item here, cool. I like it. Look at the enemy team. Almost everyone has some form of magic resistance. Yeah, there's Merc Treads on 4 players. Plus Turbo Kim Tank also gives a little bit of extra magic resistance. Yep. You can see another magic mantle in Core JJ's inventory too. So Perks is guaranteeing anybody who gets caught out by a bubble, anybody who gets hit with a random paddle star is going to be taking a significant amount of damage.
So something we have to also remember here is because Zoe is not, a standalone control mage, right? This is more about poke. The setup becomes that much more important. When you're playing around Dragon, the fight, how a fight has to be played out when you are walking blind into a Zoe versus when you are first to the Dragon, the Zoe has to walk into you, is night and day. It is so hard to approach a Zoe who is already set up at the objective when you don't have vision, because it's so easy to walk into a sleep and just get exploded from that. So Cloud9 had first moved towards the Dragon, and they're now at Soul Point, and that was uncontested because Cloud9 had the better setup and TL didn't feel comfortable moving over towards it. And this is Mountain Soul, an important Dragon Soul here, which really is going to change things. When you're looking at some of the powerful engage on both sides, being able to have the Mountain Soul shield can be the difference between surviving that engage or going down instantly.
37-35, so still a 2,000 gold difference separating the teams, but it will be up to Team Liquid to come answer that challenge. Considering they at least got themselves an early Drake, it means, you don't have to do it 3 times in a row before you get a chance at the soul, but it still means 10 minutes worth of having to contest those things without much reward.
And it's the pressure of landing those smites, of not messing up a single time. That is one of the biggest things that is kind of that intangible, just the mental factor of knowing, if I get caught before Dragon, I could lose my team the game, right? I could give over that soul. I could be the reason. And it does sometimes make players play a little bit hesitant, a little bit additionally cautious, because they know they have got to be so careful around those Dragon spawn timers. The Baron also on the map here. So we're only 1 kill in a 23-minute game. This is by far the most cautious pace that these two teams have really put forth. And it means when the team fight inevitably breaks out, the rewards are that much greater. This is not the 9-minute Dragon team fight where it's like, good job, guys, we got a Cloud. No, this is, you get slammed at the Dragon, maybe you lost Soul and Baron. Maybe you lost the game.
Yeah. The loot builds up more if you don't open the treasure box.
Like the lotto,
early.
you know, every week someone doesn't win, it just keeps getting bigger.
The loot just keeps piling up, and somebody's going to get paid whenever we finally see one of these team fights. I expect it at maximum to be 3 minutes away with that Mountain Drake being on the board. Even no matter how bad Team Liquid wants to scale, you just can't give that soul away for free at 25 minutes.
The only way we possibly wouldn't see a fight is if Cloud9 thinks they can get a Baron trade. If they think they can get a Baron for the Mountain Dragon, hey, you don't really care about giving one over to TL, but I don't think that TL will allow them to really navigate that sort of situation. When your opponent tries to go for that sort of a trade, Baron for Dragon, you just simply have one person soloing the Dragon, you move the other 4 up to contest the Baron, and that buys you enough time. So we'll see what exactly is going to happen, but C9 is starting to set up a little bit more on the Baron side of the map. It's 2 minutes till the Dragon spawns, so they want to play around this area, start to fish for poke, start to fish for engage. But meanwhile, Alphari is creating advantages on that bottom side.
Yeah, Alphari grabbing the tier 1 turret down there, picking up the second turret of the game here for Team Liquid, just making sure anything he possibly has a window to grab for his team, he can do that. And we'll see if he gets a big Gnar ulti in one of these upcoming fights here. Has the flash ready to go. Let's check in on summoner spells, actually, because we have all 10 of them online for Team Liquid, all 10 of them online for Cloud9. Perks has a cleanse switched over, now putting that onto a clarity.
Yep. Cloud9 also have a stopwatch in their mid lane, a Zhonya's in their top lane, something that you always talk about. Having to track becomes incredibly important. The value you can get from that if that immunes something like the Rel engage or potentially a Mega Gnar ultimate, that can be game changing. And again, very heavily execution based. Seeing that Cloud9, they realize, okay, we're not going to be able to attempt the Baron just yet. So now they're moving down towards bot side, trying to clear out a little bit of the wars around there, trying to start establishing some vision, because again, being the one first to the objective is incredibly important with the Zoe.
And Cloud9 are the ones with control. 60 seconds still remain. Alphari retreating in time here in the bottom lane. You can see Cloud9 wanted to make that collapse.
Run.
Maybe if he got just a little bit too hyphy, just a little bit too invested in hanging out down there. But there's not really anything even left to defend, so there's no reason for Alphari to stick around. He's plenty fine, just hanging back a little bit, letting himself farm up, not putting himself in any danger. Cloud9 still having control over this bottom side area right now. Team Liquid, they know they're going to have to go into this. They know that they have to deal with the Zoe that has control over the area, and they got to figure out how to do it. It's going to be a TP play coming in. Hecarim goes in with the onslaught of shadows, but they're still surviving for now. A lot of damage down to Core JJ. Blabber's going to be taken out first with the root coming through. Armeo grabs the kill. C9 now trying to back up a little bit. Perks with some nice damage onto Jensen. Lands the Drowsy onto Tactical, who goes up into the ulti, but he's popped by Sven. Very nicely done from C9. They will lose their support in trade. Fudge buying some time here with the Zhonya's.
Over the wall.
Another sleep comes through. Perks doing a lot of work. Core JJ is going to be taken down, but again, it's going to be a trade kill. Perks and Sven against the world, man. These two doing all the work here. Sven has been sent into the Dragon Pit, and he will try to claim the soul here for C9. Armeo's coming back around. Jensen trying to get back to the base and maybe TP back into this. They can't get it in time. Mountain Soul over to Cloud9.
It's the European reunion. Sven and Perks coming up big for Cloud9 there. The initial engage looks so good from TL. Catching out Perks here a little bit. They get on top of him, and it looks like it's going to be a fight that goes their way. The early flash, though, created a lot of distance for Perks. It meant that Victor and Xayah could not follow up. The fight does continue with Sven getting a lot of damage out. Blabber goes down, but I feel like Sven played this out so well, and Perks landing a lot of this. The sleep was massive. The ulti comes out, but you're still slept when you arrive. And then in goes Fudge. That's a body slam flash. Perfectly timed. Now the ulti.
Tactical gets away. He uses the Gale Force for the extra distance to make sure that Cask cannot put him in a truly dangerous spot. Cloud9, though, they see Jensen up here on the top side. Jensen has his flash, he has his teleport, but he is still an immobile champion. C9 cannot close the distance in time. They can't make the pick.
But that's Soul. This is Cloud9 now with that secured. So the engages become more difficult. The burst becomes more difficult for TL. Jensen TPing back out here. Needs to get out on the map and is going to try to press towards this mid lane tower. TL faster on this play should be rewarded with this tier 1 here. Looking to try to get that mid lane track, and Cloud9 having to walk the long way around to respawn now means TL gets the inside track back towards Baron, establish vision control, and you can see Alphari right on the precipice of going Mega. He wants to be hanging out with his Rage Bar right there if they're trying to threaten a fight.
Okay, cast comes down, but it'll find nothing. Fudge getting caught, but buying time. Nice counterattack from Cloud9. Tactical already having to use the ulti with a flash into the Blade Caller. Sven is now in trouble. The Hourglass, the stopwatch will not be able to keep him alive, and Cloud9 lose 2.
That is huge. They try to go for the big play, and Fudge with the whiff. Tactical played that so well. If you do not nail your engage as the AP Gragas, you will be punished, and they are going to be punished for this big time. Blabber is down. Perks is here, so they may try to poke over the wall, look for some sort of a steal, but it's such a low chance here.
Okay, Core JJ has jumped in right on top of where Perks is going to be waiting, forces him to use the stolen flash to get away. Baron Nashor over to Team Liquid.
I've got to give so much credit as well to Tactical. The flash redirect on the Blade Call there to actually catch Sven was really game-changing. They're able to get back onto Tactical, so here is the ulti. Fudge is just predicting, Tactical, you are going to back up from my engage. He throws it just a little bit too far behind him. They catch Tactical there, but then look at that from Tactical. Beautiful. He's into the Blade Caller. Sven is there waiting to kill him off when he lands, but Tactical has a flash redirect to catch and burst down Sven there, and it gets them the Baron. The soul is still in the favor of C9, but that was such a costly engage from them. They went for it. They didn't have the correct read on the Gragas cask, and Tactical really made him pay.
Tactical making such an important outplay in the critical moment of the game. Team Liquid now feeling good about where they stand. For the next 2 minutes, they will have the Baron buff. In about 3 minutes, the Elder Dragon is alive. And the interesting part now, Azael, we're at the point where it doesn't matter that the Drake count is 4-1. This isn't old school League of Legends where the Elder Dragon scaled off of your Drake count. This is just as valuable to either squad. So TL, in just giving away those mountain Drakes, allowing the soul to be claimed, they're now at a point where they could win a huge reward if they win an Elder fight.
Absolutely, and that is one of the things that really can turn a game on its head. Being able to grab that Elder Dragon. TL here trying to collect as much gold as they can with this Baron buff. Power play, not massive thus far, but they are looking to close in and try to chip away at these towers, try to get as much as they possibly can. But Cloud9 is hanging around and threatening an engage. You notice how these 3 members from Cloud9 are standing above the tower? That is because if TL then step forward in auto attack range of the tower, you are going to get flanked. And that is what they're trying to threaten. That is why they're trying to hold them back instead of just entering the lane. But because Armeo pushes in mid, they've got to respond there. And as a result, you lose the bot lane tower.
Alphari loses half HP as he harasses Vulcan here a little bit, but not too worried about that. He can back up, teleport back down to the fight if need be. Team Liquid will use the last 45 seconds of their Baron, just trying to get a little bit of damage onto the tier 3 turret here. Teleport comes back out from Alphari. He's back in the mid lane. He's ready to go. C9 have managed to not lose any inhibitor turrets. They've not lost anything of great value. Tier 2 turrets up against a Baron push, you practically expect to just lose some of those things, so it's not a big deal here. And honestly, the Baron being plus 2,000 gold, not too bad for C9's point of view.
All things considered, not too bad, but it's still a big step forward there for TL, who had been trailing, who had lost the soul. That was their first major win, it felt like, really, this game, and that is big for them. Jensen is getting stronger and stronger. You know, the inevitability of this Victor scaling is becoming a reality, and he was monstrous in the previous game this series. C9 trying to push Alphari back. The Baron buff has finally expired, so they defend the mid lane tier 2. It is 30 seconds on Elder, and that very well may be where this series could be decided. I mean, if you win that team fight as TL, you are potentially one team fight from being the mid-season Showdown champions at this point.
Oh, the pressure is on for Cloud9. They are currently behind in the state of the game, although you could argue that the Mountain Soul adds enough value to still keep them in the lead. But man, it's another one on a knife's edge.
Scary.
It hasn't had the same amount of kills as the previous games. It hasn't been high octane, but it's still so incredibly close. Team Liquid, they've teleported Jensen back out onto the map. The Elder Drake is now live. TL get a win in this game, they win the series. Cloud9 get a win in this game, they take us to game number 5. So much is on the line, and it's all coming down. Here to the Elder Drake fighting the bottom side of the river. Alfari with a stride breaker, tries to find a little bit of something, won't find a whole lot. Just about ready to transform into the Mega Gnar here, but Perks gets away in time. We'll see a little bit of damage coming out from Jensen. Team Liquid falling back, and the team Tactical is asleep. He's in trouble with the onslaught of shadows over the wall. Tactical is down! Cloud9 find the enemy AD carry with Core JJ having a flash over the wall. Fudge looking to go after him, but Jensen takes him down. Armeo's in full retreat, but Sven has a killer instinct. Team Liquid have lost 2 of their players, their AD carry and their jungler. They cannot contest for this Elder Drake any longer.
Yeah, they're staying around, but the health bars are too low. They're still moving back here, but Perks is behind them, and he does have an additional flash. He's gonna look!
This is madness. Alfari forced to use the stopwatch here as he tries to go forward. They're standing on top of the gravity well that Jensen has created. A little bit of a safe spot there. Jensen trying to move forward, looking to contest this here one more time. Nice interrupt coming through. Shutdown goes out. Cloud9 will take the Drake, they'll take the fight, and they will eviscerate Team Liquid.
And it is Perks with the sleep to decide the fight. He caught Tactical, and Tactical was CC'd 100-0 from that point. Let's watch it one more time. It's a Bud Light ace. The sleep that sneaks through here over the wall from downtown. Now watch Blabber into the fear, knocks him back, Gragas ulti on top. He did not get to touch the keyboard again after that. That was so well layered. Fudge with the follow-up after Blabber, after Perks, land the initial play. That was a big play. That is why this guy is such a big-time player. It's the moments like this that have defined Perks' career, where he can grab a game from the precipice of defeat and really turn it around. Such a huge play for Cloud9, who is up against it here in this 4th game. TL still will have opportunities to try to win this game, but Cloud9 has the Elder for 120. The Baron is active, which pretty much guarantees you're not going to fight for that Baron. Maybe you try to go for a one-way trip on a steal as Armeo, but very likely TL will try to turtle it up, hope that you can withstand the onslaught, and live to fight another day. And that's going to be tough with both of those neutral buffs squarely in Cloud9's hand, plus the Mountain Soul.
Yeah, if you try to go on that one-way trip as Armeo and you don't get the Baron, and they have a 5v4 for a minute with both buffs, it's over. You just lose off of that almost impossible steal. So I respect them not going for it. I think him going for it is a hard int. So now we have to see if they can successfully turtle, if they can somehow defend.
And we saw Cloud9 was set up for it. Vulcan and Fudge were outside the pit to not give an opportunity to try to steal there. And now it's about loss mitigation. How much are you willing to give up here as TL? You don't want a hard fight. You don't want to fight into Soul, Elder, and Baron. At the very least, you have to wait out the Elder, which has 20 seconds. Cloud9, on the other hand, are trying to force during this small window they have left, 15 seconds on it. I think they'll just be given the inhib, but unlikely that they can get the fight.
They should be able to take 2, because remember, they did open up the mid lane inhibitor as well. So while the Elder won't give them a team fight, it will give them 2 inhibitors for free, which brings us to that point that we've mentioned in previous games, where now the defense becomes much more difficult because you have the free pressure in 2 waves. They can now focus all their efforts onto that 3rd lane.
And they've got 2 minutes on the Baron buff. This took them almost no time, right? Because they already had the Elder. Immediately the waves are in the right spot. They're pushing in. They're taking down the inhibs. So they've actually got time to reset, buy, get out on the map, and still try to triple inhib with the same Baron buff.
And look at the itemization here on everybody's. Ven just about full build, has the QSS here in that final slot. Looking back at Perks, he's got the Zonias, he's got the Void Staff, Horizon Focus too. So when those Hail Mary paddle stars are coming in, you better be saying your prayers. This man could 100-0 somebody very, very effectively. We've got, what is that, about a minute and a half left here on the Baron buff. And Team Liquid has to make their defense.
Yep, we're going to see C9 getting those waves going in the right direction. You see Fudge goes mid lane, helps to push that out, helps to bring in the additional pressure, because what they want to accomplish is supers funneling in mid and top, TL forced to respond at the same time as a wave is crashing bot.
Yeah, it's got to be synced up.
Exactly. And then TL goes over to answer those waves, and all of a sudden you have an undefended tower, you have the 3rd inhibitor going down, you have that game potentially ending. TL are trying to push out these waves and prevent that from happening. I don't think it's going to be synced up on this wave, but on the subsequent wave, it may be. As we can see, supers in mid and top are on the march here and will be threatening Nexus turrets in the next 20-30 seconds.
Sleep only finds Armeo, so not too worried about that one. Blabber escorting the wave in mid. Everybody else hanging out here on the bottom side. Core JJ loses about a third of his HP. Not too happy about that one. Perks again going for the bubbles, but not finding any hits.
This wave.
Doesn't matter though. Here it is, baby. Here's the pressure. There goes the tier 3 turret in the bottom lane. Cloud9 trying to make their move.
This is going to be the fight.
This is it. It all comes down to this. Cloud9 are hanging on right now. Let's see. Can Alfari find the angle that he needs? He's into the Mega Nari. Looks to make the play. It's a big 3-man swipe, but it won't do much. It won't do anything. Alfari's going to be tanking up now into the back line. Tactical under pressure here yet again. Vulcan going after him, looking to find the kill, and he's got it. Tactical is down. Core JJ is down. Cloud9 are marching at the Nexus. Blabber leads the charge, and the rest of his men fall in behind him. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like League of Legends? Because we're going to Game 5.
I hear something in the distance, Flowers. Silver Scrapes, baby. Let's go. Game 5. Cloud9 will make the series go the distance here in what was their most controlled, most methodical game here. They move away from some of the less atypical drafts that they were going for. They still had that Cloud9 flair in the draft, a little bit more of an index towards the hard engage.
Yeah.
The AP Gragas. They're going with the Zoe instead of a more standard control mage here, but it was still a powerful 5v5. They made it work here. They stacked the dragons early and often, and they controlled that space around neutral objectives so damn well that TL often never even got a chance to actually contest for the smites. It was more about what happened in the minutes leading up to the dragon instead of the dragon itself.
Perks on the Zoe, providing the control with the bubbles.
That sleep,
miracle
man.
bubble,
Yeah.
that snipe onto Tactical that set it up for them to win the fight there at that critical moment. And that is enabled by the rest of the team playing properly as a group, as a unit, to always guarantee that they're setting him up for success.
And that one was the most memorable, but I want to say there was 2 to 3 sleeps that he actually had on Tactical in the midst of his team that was deciding a lot of these fights. And you talk about barrier of execution. You talk about how it's more difficult to get something out of a Zoe than a Victor, perhaps. Or the baseline expectation is lower for Zoe. But that being said, when you go for that really high risk, high reward style,
Sky's the limit.
And you nail it,
Sky's the limit.
I mean, we saw it all come together with that one fight. The sleep from like 2 screens away into the Hecarim ult. The Gragas ult layered perfectly with it. Tactical, hands off keyboard, pal. You're dead.
Yeah, you're not doing anything about that one. I could have moved his character right there as much as he could have. There is no way to escape a situation like that. Cloud9 have taken the win and bring our series to Silver Scrapes. Man, I can't stop smiling. I love this so much. We're heading into a short break, but on the other side, we'll have the State Farm Analyst Desk breaking down the action.
go, Silver Scrapes! Woo! We did it, baby. Cloud9 and Team Liquid have taken us to Game 5, and they've done it once again in brilliant fashion. Switching things up, welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk, where we are here to break down one final time before we go into the ultimate game, the decider game, how this one broke down. And it, of course, broke down into Cloud9's favor. And when we talk draft, I want to come to you, Raz, first, because it was, again, uniquely different in this game than all of the rest of them in this series. And I think it contributed to what was an entirely different pace of game as well from the outset.
Yeah, first of all, what a day it is that we're getting treated to best of Game 5s after Game 5 and LEC to here.
Woo!
Like,
LPL,
oh, yeah.
too.
Incredible.
We got LPL one from
So, like,
FPX EDG.
the draft is great. The biggest takeaway for me, Zoe Gragas and 4-5 for C9. It already showcases that they care so much about strong lane prio, matchups as well. And then when they have the lead, like we talked about in the earlier games in the series, that they want to be able to utilize their goal lead and just say that they convert it. And I think this game, this series, it was close to getting away from them.
Yeah.
But the draft it remains the same for C9, and I think that's something to look forward to in Game 5.
So I'm making some weird faces over here because I feel like during the pause, we had our casters talking about like, well, if game was decided over in draft, then like, why play the game? And like, this is exactly why you play the game, because I actually think that this is another draft where it gets to the point in the game where I think TL should end up outscaling, right? And we obviously have Perks' Zoe to talk about. If you look at this draft off camera, we were all looking at this and we're like, okay, C9 are basically relying on Perks to be Perks in this draft, right? Just because it gets to the point where it's not nearly as cohesive, it's not nearly as easy to execute, and it gets outskilled. Now, the benefits of that are that they obviously have a lot of confidence in Perks, and this is a team that ultimately, when it comes down to it, I feel like they can out-hands anyone. And this is another draft that showcases that. And to Raz's point, like, I appreciate that confidence. I've appreciated C9's confidence all day, to be honest.
Yeah, playmaking. Playmaking from not only just Perks, people are saying the $11 million pickup bubble, right? Like, Perks is insane. And on top of that, the Fudge Gragas ultimates have been incredible. So just taking a look at these team fights, this one in particular, where it starts off with a Team Liquid win. But then it was the Sleepy Trouble bubble that was put on top of the AD carry there. And then on top of that, the Kaisa ultimate to just be able to get the assassination.
And even though there was that nice flank by Alfari, they did kite it out pretty well on C9's side, but this was a fight where I felt like they had to work so hard to win it on the side of C9. They had to play this so well, and it still was only a 3-for-3 in their favor. And I think that's what Emily was talking about. We were saying it looks like they're going to get outscaled because of how much more work it takes them to win a fight. It was a really slow early game compared to the rest of the series. There was the one kill on top side. Again, thank you, Blabber. But then not much else. They took turrets. They had a gold lead, but they didn't explode the game open the way that I think they wanted to with that draft. And if it was not for some insane individual playmaking by C9, they should have lost that game.
Well, and going into a lot of these fights, we'll see that they end up getting separated into skirmishes, which is honestly incredibly optimal for C9, right? So even if Alfari is able to get off like an insane Gnar ult, even if they are able to get into the backline, you see that,
there it is.
The $11 million Sleepy Trouble bubble.
Gragas ultimate from downtown. You love to see it. And it's just insane. It goes back to the idea of playmaking and how you have to reshape your thought. I remember like in the Malphite game, it's the same idea where even though in that case, scaling does go to C9 side, it was like you just, as an AD carry, there's so much you have to be concerned for. And your teammates have to play around it. In this case, it's so difficult where the Xayah actually thinks that she's not in harm's way because Nara's in position to take that bubble. Then, of course, that changes trajectory when Nara just jumps out of the way. So that was difficult.
And I'm going to steal a phrase from Emily here, in that Cloud9 had to rely on Perks being Perks. But if there's any player on the stage that you're going to rely on when it comes to fighting for a domestic title, for taking it home for the squad in a best-of-5 series, I think it's going to be the man who's got 8 to his name. over there in EU and is now looking to get it done here in NA. And it's also, I think, the reason why right before this game we put such a focus on both Perkz and Jensen within this series. This time around, it's Perkz who comes up on top with the Game 4 performance.
Yeah, I mean, he was huge. We were calling him out in specific, being like, this is, his team in a lot of ways now, even though, he is new to it. He is looked to as the leader. And I think the Zoe pick was definitely a give me the ball coach kind of pick, where he wants to be able to make plays like that. And then he's able to go out there and do it. That's why it's hard to put a value on someone like that.
And I love how the series is developing in the draft, where at the very beginning, the concepts of like what you're building up for as a team, what you come into a conclusion of like, yeah, Seraphine as a pick makes a lot of sense, right? But then when you go down the series, is like, what makes more sense is giving the ball and giving the resources and the ability to make plays on your star player. And so you get to now a Game 5, and Matt, I am chomping at the bit to see what you're going to give Perk.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, what is this draft going to be? I'm like, I can't predict it for sure. So I just want to see it.
Yeah, I'm with you in loving the way that the series has developed. I tell you what I wouldn't love, being in the position of either of those coaches right now and trying to do the exact same thing with so little time to reorient yourselves and figure out what do you take from that last game as well as the 3 before it, because of the different turns, that this series has taken to try and come out here with the foolproof strategy to bring home the title, because it's now do or die for both squads. And so, Raz, I mean, I think when I look at, each of these teams in the positions they're in, I then think about players. Yep. Just like Perkz on one side, just like Jensen on the other, who else can I rely on? Who are those surefire players that I can index into in a draft to get it done?
For me, if I'm looking at Team Liquid, Core JJ. Giving him a playmaker, Thresh might come back.
I was going to say Thresh.
Ooh.
Or something that I want to see if you are Team Liquid is looking back at the playmaking that decided this game and now putting it in the hands of Team Liquid.
I'm looking at Blabber. Personally, for me, I think he's been incredible this series. He has had some mid to late game mistakes that have, hurt them. But I also think his early game performance is insane. He has won basically 4 out of 4 early games. He's gotten first blood in almost every single one of these. He's got kills up in the top lane over and over again to help neutralize what was expected to be the strongest point of pressure for Team Liquid. So I think he's been incredible. And, Armeo has struggled to keep up with him at times. And I want to see if, he can do it again, get up there again this series and stop this Alphari from running over the game.
And again, I think it's important to note that this was not the matchup that anyone expected to see in the finals. And so while, of course, we knew, the giant that Blabber was coming quite literally in this moment, but as well figuratively in this moment coming into this series, I think the nod already has to be given to Armeo for the work that he's done, not just yesterday, but today. But again, Emily, we do have to recognize that you've got to get it done, right? It isn't about did you beat our expectations as a player. It's about did you outdo your opponent in the matchup on the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blabber has had a distinct advantage. Armeo has also had some individual mistakes that we haven't pointed out because honestly, they haven't been super game deciding either. And I think as a substitute, as someone who people were, turning for TSM to win yesterday, right, due to the substitution, I think he's been like more than serviceable. And now it's about, okay, can that get TL a victory? And that's where, like Raz said, you rely on, Core JJ. I'm looking at the mid lane. Honestly, I'm looking at Jensen, and I'm also looking to see about Alphari as well, because I don't think he played particularly poorly here either. It's just that the way that team fights ended up being separated whenever he was able to get off one of those insane Gnar ults, TL's damage dealers were either dealing with being dove or they were completely separated.
Players heading to the stage one final time to get themselves ready for Game 5. Word is just in, Raz, that Team Liquid will take blue side. I don't think that come as a surprise because that's been the indication from each of the whole way through. But now that we've kind of retouched each of the lane matchups across the board, does blue side afford Team Liquid anything, or does red side afford Cloud9 anything when it comes to those matchups and those different picks that we're kind of talking about maybe reaching for?
What I'm expecting from Team Liquid is perhaps first pick Hecarim and then going for their tried and true set of Tahm Kench on 2-3. I think that's probably going to be the game plan because once again, it's such a good scaling element. And then they can play for split push. Actually, the best thing about Tahm Kench people don't talk about is even though like the team fights are strong, you got a drop ship in your ultimate in your kit that helps your side laner in Alfari. I think that's the way we end up going. If it isn't, then, I mean, it's just been an unpredictable series.
And overall, I think Team Liquid has to feel pretty good heading into Game 5 because they've already upset the status quo in some sense. If you think that blue side is favored, they already got their red side win in this series to secure them blue side in Game 5. So I actually think that they feel pretty good going into this game, knowing that they have the draft control on blue side with their first pick.
I heard it to the Senatom Kench, Emily. Is that a dislike?
No, it's more that because Senna's been banned on red side. That's why. So if C9 stay with that ban, it's a good block for what they already know that TL want to do.
Well, we just again got another look at Fudge making his way to the stage, again appearing in his first massive Game 5 of a finals. He has stacked up in a big way, of course, with Blabber at his side, but it continues, and the pressure continues to mount here when you realize you don't have another game to fall back on because this is it.
Yeah, and I'm seeing confidence in crunch time. I'm seeing confidence in like a best of 5 where you look globally and it is either broken players or like, you know, you see that one error. And that's what I love seeing in your first split, in your first year from Fudge. So especially in the last game, like, sure, we're talking about that Zoe Trouble Bubble.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the fact that we got the follow-up from Gragas as well, long distance. I think that, you know, Cloud9 in the long best of 5 are playing well accordingly to that. I did predict a Game 5.
You did?
Flopping? I'm staying with our C9 now.
Okay.
I'm doubling down on the C9.
All three of you are C9. Are you all feeling that confident still?
Oh, it's really tempting for me to hop and change teams. Like I said, the blue side advantage. Game 5, but I think I'm going to stay strong and put my faith in the man on screen right now.
There it is. Perks and Blabber, the last two guys, as well as Vulcan, to be moving into the booth. We've got experience across the board in those 10 chairs, from the most to some of the least when it comes to appearing in a domestic final. But again, once you get into game, all of that is behind you. It's not about what you've done in the past. It's what you're doing here and now today. Cloud9 and Team Liquid, they've taken us to Silver Scrapes. Our first ever midseason champions will be crowned in Game 5 right after this.
Welcome back, everyone. Our grand finals have brought us here to game number 5 in this series. The first game 5 we have had this midseason showdown in its entirety, and nothing could make this more hype.
Saving the best for last, as always. Cloud9 versus TL has been absolutely delivering. Again, the name of the game has been adaptation, adaptation, adaptation. Throughout this series, it has been about anticipating and responding to your opponent's changes in draft. And both teams have been doing it. We have not been having just a straight run back of the same comps time and time again. I'm again excited to see what will TL change, if anything, to respond to the different look Cloud9 brought in. Cloud9 moved more towards a standard team fight style. They had a splash of their own style with it, with the AP Gragas, more about the engage, more about the execution, bringing in the Zoe in lieu of something like the Azir. Do they move towards that again? And does TL change anything up to respond to it?
And all these adaptations are one of the reasons why I think every single game has been close.
Yeah.
Game 4 was slower than all the other ones, significantly, for the first 20 minutes, but it was still just as close for so long, and that's what's made this series so fun. Now, once again, we're going to see the Nidalee and the Lilia band away because they're expecting Perks to potentially play a marksman or some physical damage mid laner. And then we've got Orianna, Thresh, Gangplank, and Seraphine also all taken off the table. Both of the junglers are still available, which means it's time for Hecarim and Udyr.
Yep, it does feel like it. Very well could be the same first 3 that we saw last time, just reversed. We could get Udyr plus Rel right now. Could be a Kai'Sa takeaway for TL. Wouldn't be surprised about that. Wouldn't be surprised about C9 going to Xayah. I want to see if there's going to be a wrinkle there, though. Cloud9 would be a team that perhaps mix it up more on red side, which, as you said, I was talking about it last time we saw this in draft. The double AP jungler ban here from TL denies a lot of the premier counter picks, which are physical damage champions, because you want to have an AP pairing alongside them.
Yeah.
And these are really the only AP junglers that people are playing these days. So will be Udyr, and will it be Rel? That is my expectation. Cloud9 will want to take as much time as possible to think this through. If they go Tristana, this could be Trist mid.
Oh.
This does give over, though, Kai'Sa Rel very likely to TL, which you're already thinking, oh my God, that is a good 5v5. I don't even care what the other 2 is. You just need these 3 and you've got a good 5v5.
That is a good 3v5, Azale, and I don't normally say that in League of Legends. So there it is, Kai'Sa Rel.
I think it's Alistar now. I think you want the good answer to Rel. I think that you want the ability for Vulcan to engage. It's one of his premier champions.
Yeah.
So no matter where you're putting the Trist, I think the Alistar makes sense here. And I really do not believe they will get it if it goes to the next round. So all 6 picks making a lot of sense to me here. Now it becomes about targeting where you think your opponents are going to go.
Solo lanes, baby.
Or if you think you're going to double ban Perks, well, maybe he's playing Trist, right? So that is the change there. Gnar makes a lot of sense as a ban. GP's already off the table. If you want to attack Jensen, if you're worried about split push, this could be a next TF ban for Cloud9. TL has gone towards things like Rise as their bans in the second phase.
Right.
Xayah being taken away as an answer to the Kai'Sa Rel, assuming that Tristana would go mid, also does make sense here. So we'll see if it's going to be the TF ban or if they want to go towards, maybe the Victor, take that off the table because Jensen has had some strong games on it. Instead, it will be the Camille. Very interesting. They're thinking that TL will mix things up. We haven't seen Alphari going towards the more pure split push style, besides that Rel, which is more kind of like halfway. It's not about the full committal to that lane counter, that split push. This also tells me 4th pick is Fudge. So TL will ban here. They'll likely pick for Fudge. They're banning out Camille as well as Gnar because they are concerned about a blind pick here, getting punished with Karma being taken away. I think Sion makes a tremendous amount of sense. Then it's up to Alphari to show us how he's going to get an edge.
Yeah.
You could, if you want to look for a lane counter, move towards things like even the Mordekaiser, but that's pretty far out of the meta. You could go tank
really
versus tank here. Malphite, I think, would be fine. Even things like Cho'Gath, I think, actually match up fairly well if you want to go that direction. Allows you to kill off the front line. I think Cho'Gath is a fantastic pick here. You can really burst through some of these ultra tanky frontliners with the feast, with the true damage.
Yeah.
It's also an advantageous...
Alistar gets stuck.
Yep.
There's no way. Despite the fact that Alistar has such an incredibly tanky ultimate, remember it's damage reduction. True damage goes through it pure and simple, and that will be an answer there as we get to see Jensen on Victor one more time.
Yep. The Victor here for Jensen. Oh, man, this would be such an interesting pick if we're going to get it. I don't think so, though. Silas! Look at the ultimates you can steal here. You talk about Cho'Gath having that ulti. How about Silas, the AP Silas here, stealing this one away? It's not Malphite, but damn, it is really, really strong here. Victor ulti is okay. The Rel is pretty powerful. The Hecarim is very powerful as engage tools, but the priority one is going to be the Cho'Gath. That is a game changer. Tactical will be playing the Kai'Sa here. It will be the Tristana for Sven. That is going to be sent down to the bottom lane. Both teams, very powerful 5v5s. Again, there is that slight wrinkle that says, yeah, this is the Cloud9 draft. And I think in this case, it is the Silas. It is the one where you have to get in there. You have to be risking your body in these fights. You cannot sit back and just farm it out. And what a beautiful sight. The stage looks great. The games have been even more beautiful. It has been such a fun day here, and I am excited to see these two drafts going into Game 5 and these two teams battling it out for the mid-season Showdown Championship and the chance to represent North America at MSI.
I don't even care if it's the best game of the day. I just want it to be as good as the 4 we've seen so far. They've all been so high quality in terms of not knowing who is going to win, in terms of it coming down to the wire, balanced on a knife's edge, back and forth and back and forth. Let the series end with the same chaos and fire that the thing has been forged in.
I'm all about it, man. Let's get it. This is going to be such an exciting game here. And the drafting has really been interesting. You know, TL is the more predictable side as far as the draft go. You know, I go into it, I feel like, all right, I have a good idea what they're going to pick. I can probably predict down the line what they're going to do. But they have drafted themselves something that is pretty rock solid. You can't really look at this and say, oh, well, why did you go for that?
What about X? What about Y?
Exactly. You maybe knew what they were going to do. Even the Cho'Gath was something that I could see coming. But it's a strong answer. It fits well with the composition. It is cohesive. And that is the TL signature style. 5 champions working well together to further their goal of having a powerful team fight. And I think this is going to be so interesting. You know, if the Silas can be effective, this is absolutely a game where Perkz can have those pop-off moments because there are great ultis to steal.
Yeah, this is a game where either one of the mid laners, who I think have both had very, very impressive series so far, can really be the difference maker in this 5th and final game. Whether it's Perkz stealing the right ultimate at the right moment, knowing exactly the proper windows to go in there as that melee champion like you were talking about, or whether we get Jensen having another massive performance on the Victor, being the control mage that can set the pace of the team fights, they both have that power.
They absolutely do, and I would say there is higher risk for the Silas. He has to make sure that he's not falling too far behind. Victor has an easier time contributing to fights from a disadvantageous position.
Yeah.
Silas, you got to throw yourself in there. It's like the AP Gragas. You are getting in there. That's the only way you are contributing to this game. And as a result, if you get pushed down in that early stage, that can be a concern. So I'll be interested to see if Armeo is going to pay additional attention towards that mid lane, try to punish Perkz, try to attack him, because they do have the ability to maybe get in behind this melee champion as he's pushing and try to punish him with that Ghost Hecarim.
Okay, there was a slight pause there at the start, but we are ready to go now. Grasp of the Undying for both of our top laners, Phase Rush for both of our junglers. Mid lane starts to break up the tie of the Keystones here with a Phase Rush for Jensen and a Conqueror for Perkz. And then down there in the bottom lane, Hail of Blades. Do want to point out Core JJ with the Exhaust. This is almost a must-take against Tristana just because of the way when she goes for the kill, she must jump in, get the reset, make sure that she's just right on top of you hitting that damage. Exhaust goes a long way.
It really does. And also the added wrinkle here of knowing that even if Triss doesn't jump in the 5v5, Silas will be there.
Yeah.
And you will get value out of an Exhaust on a Silas. So it's going to be a really powerful summoner. I always see Exhaust as much more indexing towards the late game. And that is something that you have to keep in mind. You're not up against the Ignite, but this is really interesting. Cloud9 have not been going for level 1s at all. And they are 3 men top They're walking this in. Is this a lane swap?
Good Lord, man.
I think we're lane swapping against the Cho'Gath. That is a bad matchup for Sion, but I cannot say I expected this. Cho'Gath, if he cannot get access to the wave, cannot sustain. That is how he functions. And they're going to show up behind him, and he is level 1.
Oh, Alfari. This is not where you want to be, buddy.
Blood?
Is this 5 games in a row? Ignite's been dropped. Vulcan's on the chase. Vulcan with a flash. Vulcan with a pulverize. Alfari goes, and even if he flashes, it does not matter. 5 games in a row. It is Cloud9 with the top lane first blood.
I have got to talk about this Sion start. He started Ruby Crystal so he could have the execute without the Doran shield and start his own side. They're going into a split map situation, but they took 3 quadrants. This is the most 500 IQ level 1 I have ever seen. Invade, taken away, first blood to Cho'Gath. Your zombie Sion is lane swapping, takes away 2 camps from that side. Blabber retreats to the top side. All those camps are still there. That is such a big deal. Even his wolves are still up.
And look at what top lane looks like. Now Alfari has to flash here in the 1v2. And here's the thing that makes this the most impressive to me. Remember that it was Cloud9 who was down 2-1. They didn't deploy this against match point in game 4.
And it's situational, right? It had to fit. And it works because it is against the Cho'Gath. And if you want to try to punish the Sion, you go bot, you say, all right, let's dive the Sion. He goes zombie form, he picks up the CS, he TPs back. Cho'Gath can be punished in a way that Sion cannot.
And Fudge, he'll just continue. He'll take whatever he can get down here. He's not too worried about it.
Man.
And here's a look back at what Fudge did.
I love this.
Both camps at once.
I cannot overstate how cool this is. This is game 5 of the finals. This is not your solo queue game testing out a new strategy. Cloud9 just lane swapped on finals match point against TL, coordinating that with a level 1 Sion execute to take 3 full quadrants of the map in the jungle, create massive jungle advantage, first blood for the Tristana, avoid a Sion bad matchup here. Like, this is just insane.
And now things are even more interesting. Core JJ is laning with Alfari, and it's Tactical who's been left to lane solo against the Sion in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, both junglers are in the Cloud9 blue side jungle, as Armeo stole away a couple of camps. He's still only 1 camp behind his opponent in Blabber, but Blabber's level 4 against level 3. He's also Udyr against Hecarim. Blabber with the flash, trying to lock Armeo down. Perks comes over the wall. He goes for the E. He goes for the damage. He goes all the way. And Cloud9 have a 2-0 game.
It is Cloud9 signature style, never afraid of the what ifs, never afraid of what happens if it goes wrong here. They will test you at every turn. This start is magnificent, and now they're behind Jensen.
Oh, Jensen, you got to be careful about this one, buddy. Blabber's got the stun. They're chaining the CC together. Yes, Jensen's gravity well will keep him protected long enough for Armeo to show up. Perks now the target, but Team Liquid, no, they don't have the health to continue the fight. They back away.
I mean, that was a high-risk roam from Perks. You can see the CS disadvantage, but because they committed to it, because they saw the angle, they executed on it, they make it happen here. I mean, look at this commitment. You know he has no flash. You flash stun him just to delay him, so Perks can E, flash over the wall, nail the stun. That is confidence. That is a winner's mindset. He is not even considering what happens if that goes bad. Like, how catastrophic is that play? If you flash over the wall and you miss your chain, you down 2 waves mid, you spent 2 flashes, you don't even make it happen. They know in their head that is going to work. And to me, that is that winner's mindset, and such a cool start here. But TL, credit to them. Core JJ moved up to the top side, mitigated loss, got Alfari to a point where he has farmed. And, you know, I've been gushing about the Cloud9 start because I'm not going to lie, that is exciting stuff. But TL have held on here. They are down over 1,000 gold. It is an early disadvantage, but this is not game-ending damage. They have incredible scaling as well. Yes, Cloud9 does too, but it will be decided later than just the first 5 minutes. It's just really giving Cloud9 an early lead that they can try to work with here to now take a dragon, to move it around the map, and they're just doing this expertly.
things are back to normal now, right? 6 minutes into the game, the top laners have returned to top lane, the bottom laners have returned to the bottom lane, supports are back with 80 carries, so things are as expected, but it has led to a good lane state, a good game state overall for the side of Cloud9. Perks coming up into the top side, level 6 and level 6 versus 4 and 5. I'm gonna tell you right now who wins that one, and his name is Perks.
Nicely done. Roam down to the bottom side, kill him there. Roam to the top side, kill him there. Yes, the lane state is back to this normal spot where you would expect it. Bot laners against bot laners, top laners against top laners. But you skipped this brutal early laning where Cho'Gath just presses E and kind of walks at you, poking you way through the minions, proccing grasps, where Sion is going to really struggle. And now it's a TP flank. They're just not going to stop. Perks is going for mid.
Jensen still has his flash. Remember that. He might be able to escape with that, and he will, but it does get that summoner spell.
I mean, this man is everywhere. He is trying to make an impact here across the map. Down to bot, get a kill. Up to top, get a kill. TP behind mid, not just to your tower. Let's get a flash. So here we go one more time. Remember, Sylas can steal your ult even if you don't have access to it.
Right.
These are not level 6 champions there. Alfari is not level 6 on the Cho'Gath, so he doesn't have kill pressure on Fudge. Fudge can just tank that up by time for his mid laner to get in behind him, comes in with that Grim ult, gets the kill. Just beautiful stuff.
As a jungler, that can be so frustrating when Sylas has your ult and you can't.
Yeah.
He's not even stealing the ulti at that point. He's stealing the idea of your ulti. But Perks' idea was to slam this game number 5 here so far. 1,500 gold lead for Cloud9. First Drake for Cloud9. Now first Rift Herald, again being started up by Cloud9. They are first to the scene every single time.
Absolutely. It has cost them some farm, right? When you look towards mid lane, yes, Perks has been everywhere, but he's down 20 CS. They want to punish Jensen, though, knowing he has no flash. They're looking to get more out of it. If you can kill Jensen and he has no TP, you can equalize on farm, and then it's all good things for Cloud9. But Jensen reading the move from the Alistar, playing it safe, playing it smart. He is trying to be that insurance policy here for TL, just saying, all right, it's cool. I'm up farm. We're scaling. Let's calm it down. We have a strong comp. We can do this.
Armeo in the bottom lane. Still no level 6. Devastating charge comes out, but Sven's flash and his ulti make sure that he stays safe.
Yeah, and you got to flash that because if you rocket jump, he'll actually just knock you out of the air and push you back. And then your flash will not create enough space that it's really going to do anything for you. So the early flash pretty much required at that point. Another thing we can talk about is when you have these Sylas versus Cho'Gath games, at a certain point, you can actually just send the Sylas out to the side lane against Cho'Gath, start stealing the Cho'Gath ultimate on cooldown, and feasting minions. And you actually get that bonus health. That just stays with you. The stacks are maintained, which can make you even tankier in those team fights. Gives you that bonus health to be able to get in there, scrap it up, and not get burst down.
Stacks are just a buff that happens to not have an expiration timer.
Exactly.
And now, Team Liquid will see if they can stabilize things a little bit here. The Rift Herald has been summoned up in... Blabber, what in the hell was that?
From a unique angle.
Yeah, I'm going to take that as a thought it was a sweeper type of angle. Normally, Shelly doesn't get summoned up right here, but here she goes. Looks like it'll be a 2-plate charge. Okay, money in Perks' pocket, money in Blabber's pocket, and everybody's feeling all right.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the expiration on it was looking like. If that was like, a, oops, it's about to expire, let's get it down. Or
I don't think they could have got it that quick.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so. So just decided to drop it down. Does get the plates, and honestly, that's kind of the expected value when you look at the course of this series. It really hasn't been getting towers. It has been used to pressure these control mages out of their kind of safety zone, take away that tier 1 or at least chip it down so if they can get back to that Rift Herald the second time around. They can knock out that tower, make it more difficult for Jensen, who has been playing really well around the threat of these ganks, the threat of these roams, has not given up a death, has had to use the flash, but if you lose that tower, all of a sudden there's so many angles that you can be getting wrapped around from. It becomes a nightmare scenario for Victor early on.
Perks and Sven, the two guys you want to see if you're a Cloud9 fan at the top of the gold chart here so far. 2 kills for Perks, 1 kill for Sven. Yes, Perks is a little bit behind in farm, but it don't matter when you're farming champions, and Sven is staying on point with his opponent in terms of that CS management. Perks will walk up, he uses the Scryer's Bloom, finds out that Armeo is on the top side of the map here, so they know that Fudge might have to play around that here coming up soon, so get that wave shoved up, get the hell out of town, not a big deal. And there you go, Fudge can get that and get out.
Yep, could be able to push this in. It's also interesting to note, I wonder if Alfari would have even considered going for an AP Cho'Gath, which is actually really popular these days, or if he was always thinking about going tank. I mean, definitely once you get lane swapped on and kill at level 1, you're no longer going AP, right? You're just like, all right, I need to be tanky. I need to not be getting abused.
I mean, I'm assuming it was always tank because of the grasp.
That's what I would think as well. He's not going towards the comment, but it is interesting because sometimes you do see these kind of hybrid tanky builds where people go grasp, go a little bit of AP, then into tank. So interesting to think about, but either way, he has stabilized. He's looking pretty good up there on that top side, but Blabber maintains control of the neutral objectives. This is second dragon here. It's going to be going down about 12 minutes for Cloud9. Then they can look up towards that next Rift Herald as that next point of attack. And they are quickly moving towards an Infernal Soul here.
Yeah, the Infernal Soul being the one that gets to occur in game number 5.
I mean, it was going to be really good no matter what, because it was Infernal or it was Ocean, right?
Yeah.
And they would have been smiling either way. I think in this case, Ocean probably would have been even better with Udyr, Alistar, and Sion. Like, that is just your invincible front line, but they're looking for Jensen here.
Perks goes in. He ends up taking more damage than his opponent did, but hey, it at least forces Jensen to step back a little bit. It'll allow them to maintain control. Vulcan is set up over the Wraith wall to maybe potentially make a play, but I don't think Jensen's going to give him the angle for it. Yeah, Laser can just kill off all these minions. Only the last one gets to make it to the turret. No dive's going to happen, but hey, Cloud9 will be happy stealing away this blue buff from their opponents.
Yeah, they're able to really get a lot done here. They're just constantly attacking any objective that they can go towards. And that's also, why he is willing to trade health for the push. Because if you hang around in this kind of neutral location, you're just going to get slowly poked away at by the Victor. So he wants to go in, trade with the Kingslayer, get that heal off, shove out the wave, utilizing his passive and just the spam spells, and then go somewhere else. He doesn't want to sit and just farm it out against the Victor. You will slowly get whittled down.
And I love the fact that he's playing around that. I love the fact that you're not just content to sit back and let him play his game and then just say, oh, I'll team fight him later. No. Perks' activity this game has been so impressive. And now they're going in yet again. Core JJ cannot get away. And Perks is on a killing spree.
Anything you can do, I can do better. Perks snapping him back in with his own ulti there. That is Core JJ. No flash, no ulti. Does go down. And that is always one of the things that I find really impressive about pro players in general is when you're put in these disadvantageous matchups, finding a way for it to really work in your favor, right? It's not just purely about that 1v1. But you got to be careful here. Remember, Feast is available. If he gets much lower, he's going to be in Feast range. Should be okay.
He's all right. He's all right for now. Yep. Alfari can't get him quite down to that threshold here just yet. And Alfari does have him stuck underneath the turret now, which means lane priority. And here's how Core got caught.
Yep, Vulcan clearing it out. Flash engaged, knocking him out of that. He pops the ulti, but Perks has it. So even when he flashes away, Perks just snaps him right back in with his own ulti. No chance of escaping. 3 early kills. And it's a TP flank from Perks. They want more.
Oh, baby, they aren't done yet. We have a TP showing up from TL. Alfari with a flash away. TL want to try to outplay this. Armeo's got to fall back a little bit further here. Alfari's stuck in the front line. Goes for the damage, goes for the burst, gets rid of Fudge. It'll be a 1-for-1. Team Liquid now having to fall back even further. Pulverize will not find the mark into Jensen, who continues his retreat. Armeo now the target of Perks with the stolen onslaught of shadows. Jensen looks for a little bit more damage on the back end of the fight with the gravity well thrown down to block away the escape. Team Liquid, they get on the board for the first time this game, and they go 1-for-1.
Grabbing a kill for themselves there. I feel like this is the first little misstep we've seen from Perks. Looked like he got a bit greedy. Core has no flash.
Oh, Core JJ, what are you doing, man? He's face checking now, but they're able to turn it around. Why on earth am I doubting Core JJ? The one man who always comes out on top in these sorts of situations. I apologize for my sins. He gets the second kill of the game here for his team.
And he's got the exhaust, so he survives there. Sven is up here. Cloud9, I don't think you can fight this, but that was one where there was a bit of indecision. I think they wanted to try to get Jensen and Armeo, and I felt like had they just committed towards Armeo, they could have taken him down. But once Perks misses the Abscond Abduct onto Jensen, he then tries to ult onto Armeo, but he's now out of range there and does not connect with that. Perks getting shut down here. We can watch this one more time. Going in onto Alfari. Perks closing the gap here. Didn't quite have his ulti at the start of the fight. Nice flash from Alfari to actually deny that. Then when the ulti comes up here, after the initial kill on Ofari, this is where I'm talking about. I think you can just go immediately towards Armeo. Instead, he wants to get the bigger prize. He wants to take down Jensen, but the Abscond Abduct, he can't close the gap. Then he tries to turn and actually collapse with the Hecarim ulti, but he's out of range there. In the follow-up, we saw CoreJJ with the face check, but the exhaust,
Man.
the aftershock, he survives, and they get the shutdown on Perks.
We talk about knowing your limits. I feel like CoreJJ wrote the book on his own limits. He knows everything about him. I feel like we never see him caught off guard. He's just there and he's ready to go. CoreJJ setting up a chance for Team Liquid to even out this
Herald
game.
mid.
They're about 1,000 gold down with a Herald summoned up. The plates have already long since faded, right? That was 3 minutes ago. So it's not like you're going to get an immediate gold injection for this. But they will take that mid lane turret incredibly low. It's already 2 Drake advantage here for the side of C9, but now the fight's breaking out. CoreJJ coming in for the counterattack. Vulcan's already dead. And Fudge cannot arrive in time. Perks is still looking for some damage. Armeo is going to be killed off next. Perks having to fall back a little bit. Sven doing the same. Fudge continues leading the charge, but Tactical has rejoined the fight too. CoreJJ tossing Sven back over his shoulder. Tactical into the back line, looking for the damage. Sven going to be taken very low. CoreJJ going to be taken down. Sven with the reset.
Gotta dodge the
Fudge
W.
the kill onto Alfari. Jensen's looking to stay alive, but Perks is saying no. Team Liquid lose 4. Perks wants to make it 5. Everfrost says no problem. Double kill over to the mid lane from C9.
What a team fight from Cloud9, from how Sven managed to stay alive against Tactical and CoreJJ, to Perks stealing the Cho'Gath ultimate, killing off Armeo, getting the stack for himself as well, and now the prize of Soul Point here. They are straight onto it. Armeo is out on the map. Blabber is here. Oh, man. Vulcan is going to try to zone Armeo. He has his ulti, but it would be a one-way trip, and I'm not sure this is going to be where they make their stand. So Cloud9 wins a massive team fight here in Game 5, 4,000 gold ahead. Perks is absolutely popping off. Let's watch it one more time in the Bud Light Ace. In they go. Initially, it looks like, wow, this engage was not it. It's going to be TL. But then Fudge on the flank, forcing Jensen out. He has to flash out of there. The stolen Cho'Gath ulti executes Armeo. And then from here, you've really got to track how Sven is kiting this out. CoreJJ chasing him with the flip. He gets in range, does get that flip. He jumps back. Tactical saved his ulti to then follow up, but he has the ulti to get that. Instead of just panicking and running away, he turns the core, kills him off, resets the rocket jump, gets out, all while Fudge is able to dodge the W, survive, and Perks is finishing off the rest of the team. Sven smiling. He knows that was huge for the team, and now they are going for it. Oh, this is too much.
Okay, Perks is trying to make the moves here. The Chaos Storm might finish the job, but it's so close, but still so far.
Cut the tapes.
Perks just feeling himself a little too much here, a little bit too hyphy. Goes for the solo kill on Jensen and can't find it.
I mean, look at Jensen's health. He's got a sliver. He would have had it had he connected with the Abscond Abduct, but Jensen, nice sidestep, does avoid it. And the fact that Armeo is there means it is Perks going down, a little bit of egg on his face, does get shut down. Jensen TPing back onto the map. They're trying to collapse.
CoreJJ's going in. They're going after Sven with the exhaust already down. They need a little bit more damage, but they can't quite find it. CoreJJ now going to be stuck. The fight turning around. Sven on a killing spree. Team Liquid overextending into the trap set down by C9. Blabber continues running forward, but he has to be careful.
Here
One more
comes
auto attack might be able to
Perks.
finish him off. Alfari over the wall. He needs a little bit more, but Perks is back into the back lines with the onslaught of shadows. Tactical will try to survive, but it will not happen. Alfari's trying to walk away. Cho'Gath is a big tanky boy, but he's slower than Sin. And Cloud9 will take him out of the picture.
Are they going to go to Baron on spawn? It's 20 minutes. It just came up. They want Baron. Cloud9 are not messing around here. They are trying to win this game right at 20 minutes.
This is a Game 5 plan from Cloud9. This is a Game 5 performance from Perks. And this is a Game 5 20-minute Baron Nashor.
How insane has this performance been for Perks? For Cloud9, I don't care what you spent. The investment is well worth it at this point. Pushing out our mail. This is how it started off. Vulcan is caught. Sven goes over. CoreJJ does catch him, but again, disengage with the Buster Shot was huge. Fudge arrives, creating space here, means CoreJJ is sectioned off, does get killed. That is the first reset. Then, knowing Armeo has no ulti, they just need to play this slow, buy time for the respawning Perks, He finds the LT he wants. He comes in from behind, grabs the Hecarim ult, fear onto both the TL carries. That gets the reset for Sven.
So good.
He's in on top. Another kill. Alfari cannot escape. He goes down. It's the Baron on top. This is a legendary performance from Perkz, the most decorated Western League of Legends player of all time, showing what people are talking about when they are referencing the Perkz playoff buff.
He's got more kills than the whole enemy team. It is 8-6, not Cloud9 versus Team Liquid, Perkz versus Team Liquid. That is just incredible here from him in this game. Cloud9 as a whole, doing the lane swap, having the Scion take the jungle camps. Everything is impressive about this game.
They're looking for the fight.
Alfari's gonna get caught out now. Gravity well placed down to try to keep him alive here a little bit. Armeo going in, Armeo going out in a body bag. Sven is unstoppable.
Is this the victory march? He's dead. That's 30 seconds. They have Baron this early on for 130. They are pushing forward. Will they continue to posture forward, or will they back up to try to extend the gold lead? It looks like the call is that discretion is the better form of valor here. They're going to back it up. They're going to take what they got. This is a 9,000 gold lead. This is sole point. There is no reason to risk anything here.
Well, they want to go for a fight anyway. It's Cloud9 after all. Core JJ can disengage before the chain CC gets to apply in full this time. So now those Baron-empowered recalls are going to send everybody home. They can shop up. You can see items falling into everyone's inventory as they go back to spend that money.
And that's Deadman's Plate done. That's Turbo Chem Tank done. These item completions are coming in thick and fast for Cloud9. You look at even Sven. He is close to his IE. This is almost a 3-item Tristana here when you're going for the 4th dragon. TL are faster to the dragon.
I don't think they're fast enough.
No, it doesn't
Cloud9's
look
already
like
arrived.
Now the question is, do you try to contest? If you lose here, if you lose a 5v5, the series is over. So they've got to decide, do you give up soul and wait for later, or do you fight now?
Oh, Core JJ, he's over the wall. He's grabbed by Perkz, but he gets back out in time. Vulcan continuing to zone. Alfari's in the pit. The dragon goes over to C9, but what about the fight? Vulcan will be killed off first. Tactical grabbing a kill on that. It is a 1-for-1 trade support for top lane.
And that is massively in the favor of Cloud9. We tried to see the flank from Core JJ. He was looking for the angle. He's looking for the hero play, but Perkz pushes him back, drops the Victor ulti on him to escort him the rest of the way out of that fight. Cloud9 secure the Dragon Soul here, Infernal.
23 minutes.
And they are snowballing. I mean, look at the items on Perkz here compared to what Jensen has at this point. He already has 2 fully completed items, the Sheen plus the book, the magic book on top.
The BM book. Oh, baby, the Medjai's Soul Steel. Hey, if there was ever a game to build it, how could it not be this game? Let's take another look at the fight.
All right, here it is one more time. The initial combo onto Core JJ pushes him back. At this point, it's a one-way trip for Alfari. He tries to get in. He was close. He was so close to actually getting a range of Feast. He didn't have Flash. If he has Flash, that's his dragon. But those little Cho'Gath legs were not moving his big old body fast enough. He was about one little step away from chomping down and preventing that soul.
Unfortunately, the size increase per feast is mostly focused on the rest of his body, and the legs just gotta remain.
Feet stay the same size.
A little bit unlucky. A little bit unlucky. You can't skip leg day, Cho'Gath. You can't skip leg day. Team Liquid has such a difficult road in front of them. 10,000 gold down. 25 minutes into the game. Dragon Soul possessed by their opponents, and not a single turret they've taken. They have no control over the map. They are stuck inside their base, and Cloud9 have the freedom to do whatever they want in this game.
You need a miracle, because Cloud9 came into this game 5 with a killer instinct, with the best pre-planned level 1 I have seen in League of Legends in so long. They created a big advantage from the word go, and now TL has been battling back from that ever since. And when you look at TL, it has got to be about the engage. It has got to be about finding multiple members stacked up. Core JJ has got to get him, and you need to follow up from Armeo, from Alfari. If you can kill off someone like Perkz or Sven before they can do anything in the fight, you've got a chance. Barring that, this game is toast. This is a 10,000 gold lead with Soul on top. It is not remotely close as far as the itemization goes, and if you don't have a hugely advantageous fight, you just get beat down by the wallet.
Oh man, that wallet is heavy right about now. Elder Drake, 3.5 minutes. Baron, 30 seconds. Cloud9, control over the whole map. Team Liquid, struggling to staunch the bleeding. Any wards they try to place outside of this base are going to be swept away so swiftly. Armeo, he just walks past the gate blast cone, and he's already on top of a Cloud9 ward.
Yep, and Cloud9 look like they're setting up for Baron. They want to make no doubt about it. They do not want to siege into a possible engage that could maybe give TL a way back in. So instead, you eliminate all vision, you wait for Baron spawn, and now TL is faced with a near impossible task of walking through all of the dark and dangerous territory here to even approach the Baron.
Yeah, look at this.
Knowing that Sven and Blabber could be two-maining it for all we know right now.
Hey, look at that. My big brain co-commentator's brain has once again flexed its muscles, and Fudge is flexing all over Team Liquid. Armeo's already down and out. They'll pick up another one here on the back end, too, with Core JJ dying next. Tactical with a killer instinct, but it will not matter. Fudge is chasing him down. There's the third kill. There's number 4 as Alfari falls over. It's a double kill for Perks. Jensen can do nothing but walk away as Cloud9 go for the victory march right now. They've got the Baron. The inhibitor has respawned. That'll only buy them a couple of extra moments. Jensen knows there's nothing left to do here. Cloud9, they will take down their greatest rival in Team Liquid. They won the regular season. They stayed in the upper bracket. And Cloud9 are your first ever mid-season Showdown champions.
And what a Game 5 performance. Absolutely incredible. The pre-planning from level 1. The absolute domination, and there's no other word that fits it, from Perks. This was an incredible game from him. Sven celebrating with you and me, with the fans at home. You gotta love it. He's taking his victory run here. He wants that trophy. Get out of his way. It's his.
He lifts the trophy, and the man next to him, Perks, will now join him as the only other player to have won Europe and North America.
What a performance.
Hoist it high, Perks. You earned it. What an absolutely phenomenal showing. For 4 straight games, we got to see these two teams beat the living hell out of each other. And in game number 5, when your endurance is truly tested, when your creativity is put on the line, and when your mental fortitude is demanded, it is Cloud9 that runs out of the gate like a bat out of hell, and they're on a mission for that trophy.
What a story for this team to miss out on MSI due to a global pandemic last year, to be able to win in spring. Cloud9 will be attending their first MSI ever as an organization. They deserve it.
What an awesome conclusion to this spring for this team, especially after having to lose out on the chance at MSI last year. It was the first time in years that this team had won the championship, right? For the longest time, they were always stuck at that number 2 spot. They come back, they win it, they claim that victory, and then the reward disappears in front of them for circumstances entirely beyond their control. But now they get their shot, and damn if they didn't earn it.
And we've just come full circle. It was TL versus Cloud9 in the lock-in tournament to start our year. It was these two teams that felt like they had been on this crash course to be battling at the top of North America. Here they are. The development from this roster has really shone through. From lock-in to now, it is night and day. 5 times Alfari first blooded in this series. When you look back to lock-in, it was a series defined by the gap between these two top laners. A gap that no longer seems to exist.
The gap has been erased. I mean, Fudge stepped up. Blabber stepped up. Sven stepped up. Vulcan stepped up. Perks is the king of the damn staircase. Nobody steps up the same way that he does in these moments, in these clutch times where your raw skill as a player can determine a win or a loss. It's Perks.
It was absolutely incredible performance from him. You know, I'm not going to get over that game 5 for a long time. I think to not only formulate the plan that they had at level 1, but to have the confidence to execute on it. To in game 5 of the finals, when we have not seen lane swap meta for years, say, we're going to lane swap on the Cho'Gath. We're going to move Sion bot. He's going to execute, take all these jungle camps. We're going to get 3 quadrants from level 1 and first blood the Cho'Gath. Is just absolutely unreal. And it speaks to the preparation. It speaks to the confidence that this team has. And it speaks to the fact that they are well and truly deserving champions of the LCS.
Especially with how close that it was. They weren't up against... I think the structure of everything, the double elimination bracket, they went up against the best possible team as their competition. We got to see how close this series was back and forth between them. And that guarantees me the hope and the faith to know that we are sending our best possible team to MSI.
Absolutely. You've got to say they really did perform when it counted. I've got to say my heart also goes out to TL, though. Santorin unable to attend the finals because of health reasons. That has to hurt for him. And TL really did put on an admirable performance without their star jungler, Armeo, really stepping up to the plate to make this an incredible, incredible series. If it weren't for the good performance from them, we would not have seen such a shining series, such a great example of these two teams battling it out.
We celebrate the win for Cloud9. We applaud the valiant effort of Team Liquid at the same time. I know fans are going to be so excited to see what they can bring to the table in summer. Once they get back, they're going to be hungry for their vengeance. They're going to want a chance again. The rivalry between these two teams only continues to build. It only continues to get more exciting and get more fun. And I just can't wait to see more of it, man. I can't wait.
Man, this has just been such a good day to be a League of Legends fan, to be part of the LCS. An LCS fan has been such an honor for me to be here casting this game. So much fun being back in the studio, being back here with you guys, watching at home, watching some incredible, incredible League of Legends. We love you guys at home.
And after a 5-game brawl, the Cloud9 faithful have been rewarded. Now Tigris will be talking with our boy Blabber in the post-game interview. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Captain Flowers. I am beyond honored to present to you one of the first Cloud9 champions here for Spring 2021. Blabber, spring is all about repeats for you. We have already awarded you your second Honda MVP, now your second LCS title in the same exact span of time. How do you believe C9 were able to take down Team Liquid in this series?
I think we came into the series with full confidence. Honestly, I think all 5 of us knew that we were better, and even when we were down 2-1, it's Perks' comfort zone, and I think there's no doubt in any of our minds that we would win this series.
You may be extremely confident in that, but from the audience perspective, we didn't know what to expect from this. Not only was it 5 games, but going into it, the jungle substitution on the Team Liquid side. In fact, we thought about how that might affect the way that Team Liquid plays. But what about you as the jungler facing off against Armeo, whether strategically or emotionally? How did that affect the way that you approached the series today?
I definitely don't think I played any differently today than I normally do. I really respect Armeo as a player. He's a good friend of mine, so I respected him, and I definitely treated him like any other opponent. I think maybe they changed their game plan, right? It really sucks for Santorin to see his team lose, right, and not be able to do anything about it, and I feel really bad for him. But I think regardless, I think we played well some of the games, and I'm just glad we won.
I mean, from the fan perspective, everyone was impressed with the play on both sides. Obviously, everybody in the LCS wants it to be a 5-game series. But tell me a bit more. When it comes to those moments where a game can be determined by a single mistake, who's making the calls? What is being said between games? Who's calling for those draft changes going into Game 5?
So at least specifically for a Game 5 draft, that's something we've been practicing for weeks. And it's something that we didn't want to pull out until we really needed to. And I think we had full confidence in our Game 4 draft that we would win with Hecarim first pick. So we knew we'd win that game, and we decided that we could save it for Game 5 to pull it out. It was obviously a team decision, and I'm really glad it worked. And regarding calls, I think all of us do a great job not panicking game and making the right calls to win the game.
Calm, cool, collected to secure the victory, securing the LCS championship title. But beyond that, you were robbed of the MSI experience last year. Tell me a bit about the team reaction to knowing that you will be attending this time around and what you plan to do in the weeks ahead of you.
Yeah, so I think we're all really excited to go to MSI to play against the best teams in the world. Damon's already qualified, so I'm personally excited to play against Canyon, and they're in a group, right? So I'm excited to play against the best teams in the world to get really good practice and to hopefully improve for summer. And yeah, I mean, last year it really sucked. We didn't get to go MSI due to COVID. I mean, it's unfortunate, right? But I'm just glad that we're able to go this year.
And we are all very excited to continue cheering you on to represent the LCS. Blabber, thank you so much for joining me, and congratulations again on your victory.
Thank you very much.
We've got so much more coverage to come, including additional interviews. For now, let's head over to our analyst on the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, the Tigress. You heard it from her there. We'll hear more from our champions in just a little bit, so stick around to hear from more of those victorious players. But once again, congratulations to Cloud9, your 2021 Spring Champions. 12 months ago in spring, they were able to hoist that trophy. However, it was in the remote environment. And in fact, it was Sven who hoisted it so high, he broke it. He broke it within hours of hoisting that trophy. And you know what he did? He did not lose his opportunity to hoist it once again, Raz.
Got it again. I like that. I just love the enthusiasm. The moment they knew at the end of this game that it was clinched, there is no way they could lose it. Hopping out of their seats, almost breaking a chair, by the way. I'm going to put that
true, right? Yeah, he traded out the trophy for a chair this time around.
I also like how it was, Perks and Sven, the first two on the stage. They were like, where's the rest of our team? Sven did the full lift, and it was like, who's next? And
it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, those are guys who have been in winning situations before.
They know how to get on stage.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They know what comes next after you win the title. Again, Perks now joins Sven in that club of players who have won both in EU and NA. That's the 9th trophy in his case. But I think more importantly, it is the culmination of what this team was built to do. Not only win domestic titles, but as we heard Tigress alluding to, make it to international performances. That performance that they were robbed of last year because of the COVID environment. And now this time around, they're going to get a chance to show up on the international stage.
That's honestly my favorite thing, right? Because 4 of the 5 players here were not able to go to MSI last year when they were looking so dominant in that meta. So again, in a meta that really, really seems to suit this team, and I don't think 11-6 or whatever MSI is going to be played on 11-6, they'd still be fine. I mean, I'm just like, I'm so excited and I'm so happy for them that they finally get to go and prove themselves and see how well they'll do in international competition.
They did it in absolutely brilliant fashion. That Game 5 above all else made most of us pop off with such incredible glee. And with all of that said, I want to hear more from the players themselves. So we're going to hand it right back to the Tigers for another Verizon post-game interview.
5, 7, 8.
Thank you so much, Dash. This time around, I have Perks, I have Sven. After their 5-game victory, I'm going to come to you, Perks. They were just talking about it on the desk. 1 year ago, your friend beside you was the first to earn a title both in the LEC and the LCS. Now you've accomplished the same feat. While you are already the most decorated player in the West, what does it mean to you to achieve an LCS title on your first split here?
Well, it's really important for me because I want to go to MSI and I want to compete against international teams. So to go to MSI, I have to win NA, and it's just a nice thing that we get to actually improve a lot during the split, and we get to win the trophy in the end.
Yeah, thinking about MSI, it feels like it's right around the corner. Sven, I know that you have been extremely vocal about the journey that C9 has taken since last spring. Feelings of complacency, but still a hunger to get back here on the stage for the championship. Can you tell me a bit more about that journey and what it means to be here on the stage in person to receive this championship?
Even though we won spring, MSI was cancelled due to COVID. So we fell into like a slump in summer split that I can't help but think that if we went to MSI, we would have slumped there and lost, but we would have gotten a reality check earlier and been better in summer. So this year, I'm very excited that we can actually play MSI because I think MSI is a huge learning experience for any new team and new players. I think it will be really good for a whole team as a whole. I think we'll come back to summer and be even better than we are right now.
And MSI is a whole other beast, as Perks, you were just saying, looking forward to facing off against that international competition. When looking at Cloud9 today, especially comparing to last year, Rainover, your coach, was talking about the flexibility that C9 has. And Perks, we can't help but feel part of that is because of you joining the squad with the large pool of champions that you have. When looking towards international competition, how important do you think it is to have this flexibility and be able to display it in a 5-game series?
I mean, it's definitely very important to be able to play every good champion in the meta. Otherwise, you're just kind of making your team like have a harder time, I guess. So I just try to think what is the best and what is the good in the comp, and always try to play that. And I think that I'm doing it quite well right now. So also I really like playing AD carries. I didn't really like playing bot lane. So playing AD carries in mid lane is like a lot more fun. So that also gives us an advantage over other teams right now.
That's one of the most fun things. We're seeing you back in the mid lane position, but we still get to see that ADC play from you there. Sven, it's also been fun getting to see the two of you together once again. We've talked in the earlier part of the season about that synergy and what it brings to the team. But if we're looking at where Cloud9 started compared to now being as hot as y'all are looking going into MSI, how much do you feel the synergy that you two have has played into that and being able to accelerate the growth that C9 has experienced?
Honestly, not that much, to be honest. I think it's mostly out-of-game stuff that helps us. I think Mithy, Perks, and I haven't changed that much as people from who we were back then. But I still think that most of our growth is comes from our cushion stuff. They are really good, I think. I think Mithy, Max Waldo, Rainover, and Veigar deserves a lot of credit for our split this season. I never had any doubt that even with a bad start in Login Tournament, that we would be the best team in summer. I had some doubt about spring, I'll have to admit it, but I knew we could win spring. And I think that our coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for us becoming a better team over the course of this split.
Speaking of the coaching staff, I do want to call out one in particular, Mithy, because Mithy, alongside you, Perks, two people that Alphari was calling out as really wanting to take down in the series. Obviously, it was a different result on behalf of Cloud9. Do you have any words for Alphari, whether respectful or otherwise, after achieving this victory?
Alphari was really hard to play against. We were like really focusing in draft a lot and in gameplay as well. Blabber was ganking top quite a bit, so I'm quite happy that I beat him again. But I can't help but feel a bit like sad that he is getting chased over from Europe to NA by me, and so he just can't get a trophy. But maybe like next split he will do it. So I hope not. Right, I'll try my best again. But yeah, nothing but mad respect for Alphari.
We're all looking to keep watching that chase as it goes on. Congratulations again.
I'm going to play top lane against him next split, like for sure.
We're holding you to it. We have it now on camera live.
Now I'm doing it.
All right, you heard it here. We're going to get to see some Perks in the top lane. Congratulations, y'all. And Sven, hey, you don't have to break the trophy this time on the ceiling. We got a whole open
That wasn't my fault, by the way. Just gotta put it out there.
Okay, good to learn that. Let's send things back over to the desk.
No. All right. Well, hey, I'm glad that was settled. I'm glad we finally got the full story on that.
Trying to
It
get the facts
definitely
out.
wasn't Sven's fault. Look, ever humble are the two of those absolute all-star of players there as they both pick up yet another title for themselves. And again, I love even the conversation and the respect given to the opponents immediately after. Yes, maybe we would love to see Perks laning against Alphari, and maybe you could make the argument in this game 5 that Alphari laned against everyone, Emily. I don't really know.
So let's take a look at this lane swap here right now. It's really dependent on the fact that you, as we see here, have the Scion killing himself using the zombie. I love Scion level 1s. We've seen them throughout the years. But when you talk about what a lane swap does and how it's kind of perfect for the way that Tristana backs and get items and the way that Scion can kill himself and just come back to lane, he doesn't lose anything. And when you swap lane, you want to get advantages for, both parties while getting either advantageous laning matchups or setting your opponent behind. I think that accomplished this really well.
Yeah, a large jungle advantage for Blabber, because Hecarim didn't get an opportunity to get his side of the camp. So from Team Liquid side, Armeo was in a really bad position, and an experience advantage for the Cho'Gath, or at least for the Scion, who ends up, of course, getting the Gromp and the blue, like you mentioned, while Cho'Gath is having a hell of a time on the top side of the map. So like the actual advantages you end up getting are insane.
Yeah, and I have to say, we talk a lot about Perks talk a lot about Blabber, but Sven was incredible this series.
Yeah.
He had no like huge mistakes, and in this fight, kited it out perfectly to allow his team to actually turn that 3v5 around. He had an incredible series. I mean, most people on C9 did. It was a back and forth series. Everyone was stepping up at different points in time. But I think you also saw great stuff out of Perks too. He was so active on the map. He was down 20 CS, but only because he was busy picking up 2 kills by roaming to the side lanes.
Yep.
And this was some of the stuff that he was known for back in Europe, was being able to go find that extra play that you have to actually seek out.
And that's what's happening throughout the series. We were talking about the fact that now we're getting playmaking champions on a Perks because you have confidence. Even listening to Blabber on stage, talking about the confidence that they had, that even down games in the series, and then going into game 5, that they had absolute confidence. You have to have that confidence, right? And so when you have confidence on the individual players that, we are better than our counterparts, then pick up the Silas, start moving on the map with the advantage that you already have. This is great stuff from C9, and I can easily see that transfer into international play. Turn off the nameplates, and you can take those wins.
And I love the Silas pick here. Silas, again, like this lane swap, not something that you're going to run every single time because you can prepare for it. But as a last lock-in to what TL was doing, great pick, great champion for Perks to be able to carry on. I loved how active he was on the map. It was just an amazing game 5 from C9.
We're going to have plenty more time to talk about, to gush over this series as a whole. But for now, one more time, we are going to throw it back to Tigress for our new champs.
Thank you, Dash. We've got our final 2 players that took to the stage today. We got Fudge and we got Vulcan. Now, Fudge, last time I talked to Vulcan, he was telling me about you. Even if the whole community doubted him, he's still the guy you want. How do you assess your play here today in this best of 5?
I think some games I played okay, like mechanically. I think, for example, like the Gragas game that we won in game 4 was actually like my worst game out of all of the games, even though we won. And I do think that going into the series, everyone was expecting Alfari to just like stomp me, I guess. Debatable, but there was some people expecting Alfari to like play really well and sort of have like a gap in the top lane every game, but I don't think that actually happened. And I think Blabber also played really well around top lane waves to like punish Alfari, and they didn't play as well around top lane waves as us.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short. After the last time you faced off against Team Liquid, many were looking to you to hold it down there in the top lane against him. Now, of course, when it comes to a best of 5 series, though, things evolve game to game. Vulcan, you had talked in multiple instances about looking upon the past series of Team Liquid. They just played yesterday. There's so much you can learn, but you had to adapt here in the series today. Going into game 5, how did you all come across your decision to have that early game strategy you did?
Well, the strategy of lane swapping level 1 is something that we've been practicing for like many weeks in the hopes that we would pull out in the finals. And in the previous rounds of playoffs, we were actually like hiding it from the other teams when we were ready to play it. And we just felt like we should save it for the best moment to pull it out and surprise everyone, because we were thinking if we play Sion, and then maybe they'll be thinking about it, but if we play Sion a lot and don't swap, and like the latest game of the season we swapped, then they'll never expect it. So, it ended up working pretty good for us. It was like the best case scenario where they knew like very late that we were going to swap, and ended up being like obviously very good for us.
And you waited till the last possible second, do or die there in game 5 to get yourself the LCS championship. This was a big moment for all of you that we saw on the stage. I do want to give recognition to Rainover, though, as the coach, stepping into that head coach position this year. Fudge, you have so much experience with him due to your time in Academy last year. What were some of the things that he was sharing with you and the rest of the team between games, after games, as far as celebrating this overall victory and keeping your mindset in it?
I think something Rainover does really well is he listens to all of our opinions and tries to like come to a conclusion like after listening to all of them. And I think he doesn't like try to force any of his own opinions on us, or like he like has really good reasoning if he has his own opinions. So I think Rainover has done really well at like adapting to his players, and he doesn't really like make the players feel uncomfortable like ever. So I think he's been really helpful in just like making the team more cohesive, and it worked out really well, I guess.
Yeah, it did work out indeed. Now, I'm going to allow you a moment in the end to answer this question as well. But Vulcan, this is the last time we're getting to speak directly to you players, thinking about those that have supported you, the Cloud9 fans out there, tracking along this journey since last spring. Any words that you have to share specifically with that audience?
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to say thank you so much to all the C9 fans out there. I think the support that we've had is like pretty crazy, and it's not even comparable to any team I've been on in the past. So thank you guys so much for that. And yeah, I'm happy that we could win like a second trophy in 2 years, and hopefully we'll represent NA and Cloud9 very well at MSI, and I'm pretty confident that we can. So.
And Fudge, it's your first title.
Yep. For me, a lot of C9 fans didn't like me at the start, but there were also a lot of fans that were like supporting me, sending me a lot of like really like supportive DMs. And I'd like to thank all of the fans that were like still supportive of me, even though I wasn't playing that well at the start. And I think that going into Summer Split, I'll play even better. And even at MSI, I think we'll actually do really well. So thank you.
Well, like I told your teammates before you, we are all very much looking forward to tracking your journey at MSI, cheering you on. Congratulations once again on your LCS championship victory here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is all we have to hear from the players. Thank you so much for giving them the time to speak their words. We're going to head things over to the Bud Light Breakdown.
Thank you very much, the Tigress, and welcome to the Bud Light Breakdown. So proud to be calling Cloud9 our LCS Spring 2021 champs and MSI representatives here for North America. All split long, though. We've been debating who would be the new king in the mid lane in North America, and I think today we can definitively say that that title belongs firmly to Perkz, our finals player of the series.
Deserved. I think Perkz is a huge playmaker. We saw that at the very end. Throughout the entire series, this is going to be a great series to look back on, as Zoe play was another example of that. Just some phenomenal stuff.
I think he's just so versatile, and that's what really jumps out to me. And not just in terms of play style, but I think also in terms of mentality. Because I think, play style, you can be talking about champions. He can play, control mages. He can swap to the Sylas and start playing more playmakers. But I also think he has some of the best risk-reward scenario thinking of anyone I see. He knows exactly when it's worth it to go really aggressive and take the extra risk to try and actually make a bigger play because it's a bad situation or whatnot. And I think that's one of the things that he does so incredibly well. And I think you got to see all of his skills kind of on display in this series as he shifted modes and champion play styles multiple times.
And I mean, that's incredibly valuable going into an event like MSI, right? Especially with us being on a patch behind. You're going to need that in-game leadership, like in and out of game. So with the team in terms of like traveling and adapting, but also like his versatility can't be understated just as a player. Like, this is someone who role swapped and was still the best in his position in the world. So, I mean, it's just nuts having a player like that going into an international competition like the Midseason Invitational.
Man, he's won the event res. Yeah. That's got to feel pretty good, knowing that you got at least that much experience on your squad going forward. Because a reminder again that while Cloud9 has been to Worlds time and time again, this is the first time that they will be going to MSI.
Yeah, and I think MSI is a destination that starts a lot of stories, and it starts a lot of player like legacies. Because like my MSI memories are like RNG and their Golden Road.
Oh yeah.
I remember, happens. G2 and their Grand Slam, but like it sets up the expectation. And even hearing from players like Sven on stage talking about if they have had that experience last year, they could have adapted, grown with that international experience, and have moved forward and gotten to see like how good they are in an international setting. And I think that's a valuable, really valuable experience to have, and for the globe to really respect like your work.
When, as you mentioned, that MSI marks the beginning of the international chapter for the year, I think in order to contextualize that, Mark, we do have to look all the way back to the beginning of the LCS split for Cloud9. Again, they fell down to Team Liquid in that lock-in finals and then had 2 rematches where they were able to come out on top. But what a story it's been for this squad, along with the reformation of the squad and the acquisition of Perkz to come out on top in just their first split.
Yeah, it's really, really impressive considering, that there was going to be time to, have Fudge level up. As you kind of hear talking about, he was like, I didn't start great. And I think to have all that growth in a single split is super impressive. And I don't expect this team to stop improving from here. This is not their peak. They're going to go to MSI, like Raz was saying, and continue to get better and then hopefully bring that back for Summer Split.
And they improved at a faster rate than they expected to. Sven even mentioned that they were expecting it to be a Summer Split first place round, right? Instead of a spring split. And he gave credit to their coaching staff for them to be able to get to this point. Like the fact that, we spoke about Mithy, Rainover, Max, and Veigar. It even capped it off on Game 5 with how smart they were as a team.
I have so many questions. I'm sorry. I have so many questions about where all those strategies, who made the call in the final moments for some of those picks, for some of those strategies to actually be executed. But Emily, I do want to continue this conversation, this overarching conversation about Cloud9's story and the fact that they will again be representing us at MSI, but with the context of how much growth they've made in such little time.
Yeah, I mean, so going into MSI, we look at North America and we're like, yeah, okay, you know what? We have a little bit more to improve maybe than the other major regions who are going, especially being a patch behind. I actually would argue that C9 is the perfect team then in this kind of situation, because just take a slice of their season and think about where they were in the beginning of the lock-in tournament to the end of the lock-in tournament and how like exponentially good that growth was just in that short amount of time. With boot camping against other teams, with like once they get on the ground are able to practice on the patch against international teams, I'm so excited to see how much this team can improve.
Yeah, and you're right. I feel like just from a coaching aspect and from a player standpoint, they can definitely develop and really challenge themselves in their team identity. Right now, if you ask me what Cloud9 is going to be their strongest suit, and what they're going to be bringing to international events is their jungle mid. And it's primarily Blabber. I mean, it doesn't have to be mid because he's been doing a lot of good stuff towards the top side of the map as well, just going straight top lane. So if they can go there and refine it, for sure. They have a lot of time, by the way. First phase into the second phase of the tournament, just the ability to ramp up as MSI goes on.
And finally, just before we begin to cap out on this event, Mark, I think it's important to recognize the journey as well that all of our teams made, yes, in the LCS, but specifically Team Liquid. Again, a team that pushed us to one of the most incredible 5-game finals we've had in quite some time. And in such interesting fashion, they as well had a bit of a reformation with bringing Alfari in at the top and shooting for the stars in that regard, looking to recapture some of the glory that was the 4 years back to back to back to back. And they'll still have summer to take that chance, but this time they fell just short.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to sting extra bad just knowing that, you know, you had this awful situation that happened with Santorin having migraines and not being able to play. I think it's going to fuel them. They're going to be watching, you know, MSI from home on their couch thinking like, that should have been us. You know, it was such a close series. If we were fighting at full strength, I know we could have won. You know, like that's how people tend to think about it. So I expect them to come into summer with a huge fire under their butts because they could have. They improved so much over the course of the year themselves.
And that's what I love, is that competition. Not only is Team Liquid pushing themselves based off of the last series they had with Cloud9 during the same playoff run, so that really pushed them and got them going. But now seeing this, you're right. And I think that helps both sides.
Yeah.
If Cloud9 had gotten, everyone would have just been pissed off it was another 3-0. If it was another quick series, that helps no one, because what fuels and makes teams great going into international events is domestic competition. And so that's what I really needed, was Cloud9 being really like, you know, it's Cloud9 now. But if any team that we send, realizing they have a lot of tape to go over here so that when they go into day one, they know what they need to improve on and get better at.
I just want to give a shout out to Armeo, who I think, like, honestly, like, we were expecting, like, this is a guy who's coming in, who's played in LCS before, who people feel like they have a clear-cut idea of who he is. Oh, he's not very good, et cetera, et cetera. He comes in, he's, like, under so much pressure. If he makes a single mistake, everyone's just going to blame the series loss on him. Performs, like, we said it yesterday, I feel like the best thing he could have done is not be targeted, right? Like, he comes out of that series and you're not looking at it like, wow, gee, Armeo was like such a liability. He performed really, really well, I think.
Yeah, and I think I saw fans, you know, on Reddit and Twitter and stuff saying like, hey, I'm ready to give, you know, him another shot. Like, I want him back in the LCS now. I think, like, this was, on an individual level, a performance that are going to make people take another look at him where they might not have, given how his academy season had ended a little bit disappointing in Proving Grounds.
And this is me in my, you know, academy rant where
here we go.
I was going to come out and say, like, give people a chance.
Yes.
Give them a chance. Like, our male, I'm just going to say it, watch Academy when you get the chance before we start splitting that stuff.
He's performed really well this year.
Performed incredibly well. I think we have a lot of great players down there. So if you got time in your day.
Well, you know what, Raz? You know what?
It's funny you say
We
that.
may have just crowned our new LCS Kings, but we've got more league coming your way tomorrow with the Proving Grounds. It continues, so if you're curious about some of that amateur talent out there in North America, that's the perfect way for you to check it out. Of course, come May, Cloud9 will be joining the likes of Damwon, Mad Lions, and many, many more of the world's top teams at MSI. On June 4th, though, it's also time for summer. We will be returning, here in the LCS. We've talked a lot about the MSI storylines. I want to talk a little bit about summer storylines. We've already lit in the fire under a couple of these top teams for what they want to do to maybe come back and challenge Cloud9 again. But I also think, again, this was such an intriguing split. If we remember storylines like Dignitas, the team that was so under-recognized at the beginning of the split and surprised us in such a brilliant way, Emily.
Yeah, I mean, Dignitas was honestly like my most fun team to watch from this fast split. Their execution wasn't always the best, but they were incredibly fun. They believed in their own hands in late game team fights. Their team fight macro, especially coming out of Aphromoo and Neo, was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
So I really do want to see how much they can improve.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think like the young players on Dignitas, 100%. I would say even like the teams like FlyQuest or 100 Thieves. Remember, 100 Thieves, coming at the very beginning of the split, went so far in the lock-in tournament and had such high expectations that they're the ones that are probably burning up wherever they are. Like, that fire is definitely contagious within that team to go as far as they can in summer split to right the wrongs in spring.
And I'll call out one other team, Mark, and it's CLG. Again, riddled with some issues from the beginning of the split, not all of them under their control, but the resurgence that they made at the end of spring, which made a lot of people think what would have happened if they had just eked into that top 6. A reminder that in summer, it expands to top 8 who get to see the postseason, but I'm not even sure they'll need that expansion to make it in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you carry your record over, so it's unfortunate how the split started for them. But I think after Pobelter joined, it was something close to a 500 record for them.
Yeah.
They were actually picking up a lot of wins and improving, and I think that they are a team that you would be crazy to think is going to stay around the 9th place finish that they got this time around.
All right, we got some time to wait, yes, between now and June 4th, but plenty of LCS storylines will come on that day. Before we call it a night, we do want to take a brief moment to say thank you to all of our wonderful sponsors supporting us. We are so fortunate to have partnered with all of you, and there you can see them on your screen now. We are, as always, made by many, and we are so grateful to everyone at home for joining us this spring. From broadcasting remotely to the LCS studio to the Greek, you have been here every step of the way, and we cannot thank you enough. We are sending a hot Cloud9 to Iceland, ladies and gentlemen. So now on behalf of myself, the casters, and our entire remote broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you and Cloud9 at MSI. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe,
Like, he
and
comes
be
out
good
of that
to each
series,
other.
and you're not looking at it like.
Get out of here.
I saw him.
This is the Midseason Show.